It's number 10 Penn State taking on the Hoosiers here at Memorial Stadium. Again, everyone, Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewert. Allison Williams will join us in just a moment. Going back to the start of the season, we were there for one of Penn State's 2 losses at Heinz Field to Pitt. They started off the year 2-2. Now they're 7-2. Could they be 10-2 when year's end comes?
Yeah, absolutely. They got to get this one, and they got to play a little bit better on the road. But you watch them mature, you watch them grow up, as James Franklin has said, and you watch them form an identity. And when you do 2 things in football well, typically you win a lot of games. Play sound defense, which they're doing, and then you control the game with your running game. And they've got one of the most dynamic players in all of college football. He's the most dynamic running back in this conference. He's really put this team on his back, complemented and married very well with their defense. But Saquon's a joy to watch, and he's been a big reason why they're on this run.
Although you talk about Saquon Barkley obviously having a major impact on Penn State's success, but they have, with their defense as well, playing at a different level, married both sides of the football to become a team that right now is as hot as any.
And it's got to be fun for the folks in Happy Valley. They've been waiting. And it turned with the Ohio State game. There's no doubt about it. That was the marquee win. But play good fundamental defense. Play 10 guys on the D-line, and you're going to see them howling and barking. Tremendous energy there. And then a quarterback in a run game that knows what they can do, also knows what they can't do, and they know it very well.
It's a Veterans Day weekend. Kevin Wilson shaking hands with our servicemen and women on the field. His team like to pull an upset. We'll find out if they can when we kick it off next. College football, you're watching the Big Ten on ABC. A Big Ten matchup as Penn State meets Indiana. Hoosiers trying to pull off the upset. Allison Williams, maybe with a recipe as to how they can do it.
Yeah, Bob, keep in mind, Indiana has a chance to do some things that haven't been done in quite some time. Remember, all time against Penn State, just 1-18. Their only win coming back in 2013. They have a chance to accomplish some things that haven't been done in the last 2 decades. This Nittany Lions team's 10th ranked in the country. Indiana hasn't beat a top 10 team since 1987. But the Hoosiers have won their last 2, looking to make it 3 straight in the conference for the first time since 1994. And it would give them their always important 6th win of the season, making them bowl eligible in back-to-back years for the first time since, well, before these players were even born. So plenty to play for this Indiana team, and really a chance to make a big step as a program.
Well, Brock, talking to coaches in this league, to Allison's point, they realize that this Indiana team is very close to getting over the hump and getting some wins that will open eyes around college football.
They just got to do it. The team they're kicking to did a few weeks ago, and you could see the momentum with which they've carried that Ohio State win forward.
A short kick to the true freshman, Miles Sanders. He finds some room. And good field position to start for Penn State. And a young man that's not conceding the Heisman race to anyone yet.
He is really an exciting player to watch at any point, at any play.
Second best in the nation.
Barkley, 45, 40, Barkley, 30. He can catch the ball, he can run the ball. Barkley gets away. Touchdown, Penn State!
Saquon Barkley's last 4 games, 168.8 yards rushing and an 8.3 yards per carry average. He has been terrific. Although Trace McSorley starts in an empty backfield, and he'll run it himself. He's become a running threat as the season has gone on as well.
Well, you can utilize and leverage that running back right next to you. And what I love about Trace, and we all know Trace McSorley's grown up playing sports, he was the one that won. Right, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but the guy has been a winner at every level.
First chance for Saquon Barkley. Stumbles and goes down, may have lost a half yard. So on this opening possession, an area where Penn State has struggled all year, in particular on 3rd down.
Yeah, 125th out of 128. That's not where you want to be. And their peers at the bottom of those 3rd down rankings are some of the worst in Power 5 conference. They've compensated with the explosive play. You got to find a way to move the sticks on the road. And doing so with a new right tackle as well. Brendan Mann, who has manned that position the last few weeks out, did not make the trip.
Indiana brings a blitz. McSorley looks to extend the play. Lobs one down the sideline. He's got Barkley. That's a first down and a big play on 3rd down for Penn State to the 25-yard line of IU.
You just lose sight of Saquon, and this is the element he's bringing. He can pass protect. You see some pressure there. That's not an ideal matchup. That's a defensive end, and Patrick Doherty against one of the most explosive players in college football. Mismatch.
action. Godwin wide open over the middle. Inside the 10-yard line, it's 1st and goal for Penn State. That's a gain of 17 down to the 8-yard line.
And when you've got a weapon like Barkley, not only can you run a little QB draw to begin the game or QB power, you also have 8 men around the line of scrimmage and wide windows of opportunity in your passing game.
Zone read. Barkley bottled up. Patrick Doherty came through. He has moved up to defensive end and has seen his playing time increase on this defensive line for Indiana. Made the stop, a loss of 1, 2nd down and goal. Always a big red zone threat in the slot right, the tight end Mike Gesicki. And now jumping off sides, unless it was Ryan Bates, the right guard that may have backed up, causing Greg Gooch to jump unabated to the quarterback. We'll see which way the officials go.
Offside. Defense number 91 jumping into the neutral zone, causing the offense to react. Half the distance to the goal. It remains 2nd down.
And it's the right call. Right in the middle of your screen there, you see Jacob Robinson, and then the movement right away from the redshirt freshman Bates. Trying to gain an edge, trying to gain a shoulder. When you've got a running back to the caliber of Barkley, you have got to win right off the jump.
So now 2nd down and goal from just inside the 5.
The one-on-ones galore. A little look to the sidelines, check with me system with Joe Moorhead, the offensive coordinator. Much like that 1st down pass in the red zone, you are looking. You can see Indiana selling out for the run. One-on-ones everywhere.
They widen out Godwin a bit. And behind the line again, Barkley is dropped. Untouched came through Greg Gooch. And now it will be 3rd down and goal back near the 10-yard line. That's a loss of 6.
Yeah, this is just a pretty simple read here for Gooch. He's not going to let Barkley get started, and you can see the new right tackle. Nobody pays any attention to Gooch. And don't hesitate. Don't read it. Go out there and knock him out.
Indiana's defense trying to get a red zone stop to start the game. 3rd down and goal. McSorley steps up in the pocket. He'll tuck it under and run. Dives for the goal line, and he's in for the touchdown. Trace McSorley does it himself. A 10-yard touchdown run. And Penn State has the early lead.
He's a gamer. He's a winner. He won 3 state titles, 55-5 in high school, and you could see the upfield rush there beating left tackle Palmer. McSorley keeps his poise, keeps his eyes downfield. He's got a great block from his buddy Saeed Blacknall there in the slot. No doubt about the finish from Trace.
That is his 20th touchdown accounted for this season. 14 through the air, and now 6 on the ground. Tyler Davis tacks on the extra point. And a terrific opening drive. Penn State with a 7-0 lead. Coming up later, we'll have 2 more of the 9-0 teams in action on ABC. The 2nd-ranked Clemson Tigers take on Pitt in Death Valley at 3:30. And then to cap off the day, number 3 Michigan at Kinnick Stadium at 8, taking on the Hawkeyes. Both games streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN. A sneaky challenge tonight for Michigan on the road against Iowa. And, of course, Clemson. Can anyone stop the Tigers from steamrolling their way through the ACC?
It'll be difficult to do, especially with the youth Pat Narduzzi has on that defense, on the edge. I think the Clemson wide receivers are the best in America as that position group. And everybody has feasted upon the inexperience and youth of that Pitt secondary. I would expect Watson to do the same tonight.
To that point, then, what has to happen for Louisville to find their way into the college football playoff?
They just got to run, and they got to run wild with their Heisman Trophy winner. You know, in the position here down the stretch, obviously they will have Houston left on their schedule for whatever that is worth. And they've got to hope that an Iowa can pull off an upset, that some of those teams ahead of them, or USC pulls off an upset tonight in Seattle.
Devontae Williams will take a knee about 6 yards deep. So now it goes to the junior college transfer quarterback Richard Lego, who is 2nd overall in the Big Ten in passing yards per game, but balancing that off, well, he forces it at times. Tied for the top of the wrong statistical category, the most interceptions in FBS. How would you analyze his play, all the tape you watched getting ready for this game?
He's young, he's inexperienced, and even though he's bounced around to a number of different programs, he's learning on the fly and learning when to use that bazooka that hangs from that right shoulder, because he has got an absolute cannon. But he's got to minimize those mistakes because he's going against a quarterback, as you saw in that opening drive, that isn't prototypical, but makes wonderful decisions.
They throw one out to Mitchell Page. He's brought down after a gain of 1. So the wide receiver screen short-circuited, and it'll be 2nd down and 9.
I think tempos are real key for Indiana today because that Penn State defensive line wants to flush 8, 9, 10 guys through. They want to control it with their tempo offensively.
Slant is on time, and that is good for a 1st down to Nick Westbrook. Gain of 11, but this is a Penn State defense that has improved, Brock, as the season has gone on.
Yeah, and the big guy in the middle makes a difference. Curtis Cothran, he's a difference maker. Garrett Sickles on that edge with 5 sacks as well. That front 4 setting the table for the rest of the guys defensively. Both teams utilizing that freeze. You want to make sure, try to get a good feel for the numbers count.
Reading to the short side of the field. And a good gain on 1st down of 4. Sets up 2nd down and 6. Jason Kabinda in on the tackle for Penn State. What a difference it has made for that Penn State defense to get Kabinda and Brandon Bell both back. They returned for the Ohio State game as Page makes a catch out on the edge. It spins close to a 1st down. Looks like he'll be a yard shy, so 3rd down and 1 coming here for IU.
But look at the hustle. This is when they're best. This is when Richard's at his best. You talk about that decision making. Take it out of his hands so he can just see and react and let things flow. And it's also beneficial for Indiana to have Dan Feeney back. He'll play both right guard and right tackle, matching up against these big boys, these edge players for Penn State, some of the biggest in college football. Nice to have the best lineman back on the field.
Lego, short hops, 3rd down and 1. And I can't imagine that Kevin Wilson is going to take a chance on his side of the 50 on the opening drive. So on 4th down and 1, here comes the punt group for Indiana.
You know what that was? That was that last split second. Manny Bowen, the outside linebacker there. He one-hops it. We talked about decision-making right there. He could feel the presence of that nickel linebacker get underneath his slant. And he just squeeze it a little tight and the ball goes right into the ground.
4th down and short. Always have to be wary of a fake. It seems as if Penn State is. Knuckleball kick that John Reed fields at the 10-yard line. And will try and rip off a return. Gets through the first wave. An excellent return out close to the 30-yard line for the sophomore cornerback. So a pretty good return and good field position for Penn State with a 7-0 lead. It is Veterans Day. And a salute on that first touchdown by Trace McSorley.
Back in Bloomington, and a huge loss for this Penn State offensive line, who came into the game already missing their starting 2 tackles. And Paris Palmer, their starting left tackle, taken into the locker room. I heard the athletic training staff tell coaches he is out. So a big loss for them up front. That means redshirt freshman Steven Gonzalez will move over, primarily a guard, but he'll have to be in there at tackle for the remainder of this game. Guys.
Thinning out, Brock, an offensive line that was already banged up via injury.
That's the worst spot they could have found an injury this afternoon.
McSorley, draw play, Barkley. Not showing the thin offensive line on 1st down as they pick up 8.5 yards. Tony Fields made the stop.
And you'll see Paris at left tackle here on that 3rd down touchdown run right at the end of it. He gets beat pretty clean. You'll see that lower leg as he's hopping around. Andrew Nelson is out. Brendan Mann is out. Now Paris Palmer is out. You're down to your 4th and 5th offensive tackles.
So it looks like Ryan Bates is actually sliding over to left tackle, and Derek Dowry, at least for now, is up at guard. McSorley takes a shot down the sideline. Jump ball, and almost held on to by Gesicki. It will be 3rd down and 2 for Penn State. Ashawn Riggins tried to stay with Gesicki, who's a terrific pass-catching tight end.
That's a freshman corner on a 6'6" tight end, and that's well played. There's no panic there out of Ashawn. You want to wait. You want to read the eyes of that offensive player to time up when you're going to go up and disrupt that reception point. Well done to force another third down. This one, a very manageable situation. Watch that QB run. They love to utilize Trace's legs. You saw it on the touchdown run. You saw it on the first snap of the game. Been a big difference for this offense as they've come to life.
Penn State was 2 for 2 on third down on their opening drive. Zone read, Barkley. He is met, trying to go up the middle, and he comes up short. So Indiana gets a third down stop. Tigre Scales, who is number 3 in the Big Ten in tackles per game and number 2 in FBS in solo tackles per game, face mask to face mask with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, both Tigre and Marcus Oliver. You get in short yardage, a wonderful double team there from Connor McGovern, true freshman, right guard with Brian Gaia, the center. But neither of them could come off that double team to a very fast flow linebacking crew of the Hoosiers.
Fumbled snap. Blake Gillikin, the freshman, somehow gets a punt away. What a play. And Mitchell Page gets a fair catch call at the 40-yard line for Indiana. That is a true freshman that just showed tremendous composure after muffing what looked like a perfect snap.
College football presented by Jared the Galleria of Jewelry. In part by the Lincoln Motor Company and the exhilarating new Lincoln NKZ. And Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance.
You're looking at Hoosier alumni around the world protecting our freedom, and also a replica of the USS Indiana. That's the first time a submarine will be named after Indiana. It's in construction right now. Ultimately, it will be a 365-foot nuclear-powered sub with a lifespan of 32 years on just one load of nuclear fuel. Wow. Great field position for IU at their own 40-yard line. Lego swings one to Divine Redding. Makes a man miss. Powers his way for 9 yards. Kabinda eventually came over and helped bring him down. Marcus Allen missed the tackle. That allowed Divine Redding to nearly pick up a first down.
Good check with me system. Penn State a good team to do this against. I'll be very curious to watch Penn State go in and out of their looks defensively.
Redding caught in the backfield and brought down by Garrett Sickles, a loss of 4.
And you and I saw the same thing, whether it was the coach's tape or the TV copy. Garrett Sickles was a monster in that Ohio State game. I would contend they don't beat the Buckeyes unless number 90, who had to sit out that first half because of a targeting penalty the week before, isn't the monster that he became. It couldn't block him. And he has really continued his game forward from that moment.
That tackle for loss makes it 3rd down and 5. Big 3rd down here for Indiana, so they don't waste the good field position. Lego with a slant on time. Ricky Jones to the Penn State 41.
And he's just a pro. And I love sitting down with Kevin Wilson yesterday, and that's a redshirt senior that's paid his dues. He's been very productive, but loves to play the game. Is really a perfect picture for a young developing program of how you practice and how you perform.
Now it is up-tempo. Play action for Lego. He wants it all, looking for the end zone. Through the hands, and incomplete. Nick Westbrook seemed like he had a chance to haul that one in for what would have been a Hoosier touchdown over the top of Grant Haley.
Yeah, get ready for 7 or 8 of these. Indiana's big outside. Nick is 6'3". Grant's 5'10", if that. Can't throw it any better. You love the high point. You just got to find a way to finish in the pylon cam. A wonderful view there. He is trying through contact. Does everything right, but finish. And I love the shots. You got a 6'6" gunslinger back there. Sure, there are going to be some interceptions along the way, but you have got to take a chance. Swing for the fences, and the big people and the personnel some matchup advantages outside to do so.
Play clock down to 4. Here comes a Penn State blitz. Another long throw to the sideline. That one high, as Donovan Hale couldn't climb the ladder, and now it's 3rd down and 10.
And those are the plays right there. As much as the interceptions, when you asked me earlier about the game tape for Richard, and you see a young player that's learning, you've got to flush that last play. You knew you threw it perfectly. You thought you had a touchdown. You got to flush it, and you got to come back and execute. That was a little bubble screen with a wheel route, an opportunity to hit that down the field.
And now the sack. Nowhere to go for Richard Lego. And it's Garrett Sickles who ends up eventually bringing him down.
Number 90,
Sixth sack of the season for Sickles, and Kevin Gibbons was there as well.
And you can see the little tackle line stud inside. That's creating a one-on-one for Sickles. Penn State loves their line games. You'll see them on third and extra long, soft coverage behind. Allow those four big daddies to do their thing with line stunts. And anytime number 90 is in a one-on-one, that's advantage Penn State.
And that was a waste of the field position for Indiana. They start at their own 40-yard line, pick up a first down. And now Reed will field it at the 5-yard line. Great balance. That was a tough 12, 13-yard return out to about the 19-yard line. So we'll step aside. Just this close to a touchdown catch for Nick Westbrook.
Job to live up to the hype. The Champions Classic doubleheader with the College Football Playoff Top 25 reveal between games on ESPN.
Not only will those be two great games Tuesday at the Garden, but how about the win in basketball for IU to begin their season last night in the Armed Forces Classic in overtime over Kansas. It's a great doubleheader last night as well. Arizona, Michigan State went right down to the buzzer. College basketball is back. November college football. Trace McSorley, wheel route. And there's no one home. Chris Godwin, I guess, was the intended receiver. It'll be second down and 10 for Penn State inside their own 20-yard line.
And what that is, that's indicative of is Trace seeing the blitz there. And that's T. Gray Scales. His touchdown run was all about Trace McSorley as well. And you're seeing the conversation there, whether that's intentional grounding or not. And any receiver in the vicinity.
They just dropped the flag.
And Trace has his eyes up, sees the free blitzing linebacker.
Intentional grounding. Offense number 9. Penalties a loss of down at the spot of the foul. Second down.
What type of leeway should the officials give a quarterback if in their determination he's trying to throw to a spot and just has a miscommunication with the receiver rather than the blitz is coming?
I don't think so.
You're not buying that one?
I'm not buying that one. The quarterback knows what the route combination is, and that was very clearly going to be one of their fakes. They love to ride that lateral fake, come up and hit that slant route. No leeway there.
So a big loss. Second down and a mile from inside the 10. McSorley from in the end zone swings one. And Barkley is gang tackled. He may have picked up a yard. But now it will be third down and slow to get up to Saquon Barkley. Sean Riggins made the stop. And Barkley has not got a lot of pep in his step as he trots back to the huddle.
And this is an aggressive Indiana crew, and Tom Allen said we do what we do. And I don't care if it's going to leave us in some mismatches at times with Barkley. They're going to continue to have that aggressive mindset. And you can see him, especially here in these third and extra long situations, trying to blur that picture for a quarterback in a check-with-me system.
Four-man rush on third down and 20. McSorley, long throw to Gesicki. He's got it out to midfield. A backbreaker for the Indiana defense to give up a deep ball on third and 20, and what a terrific throw from Trace McSorley.
That's pretty incredible, and that's unfortunately what happens when you've got true freshmen like Riggins right here. There is no way on third and 20 anybody should ever get behind you. You are dropping deep into zone coverage. You could see the young freshman loses his eyes. He loses his coverage. And a catastrophic third down conversion for one of the country's worst. You have a touchdown in the red zone on a scramble, and that time a inexplicable third and 20 go route in the zone coverage.
A gain of 45. McSorley keeps it on the zone read. Uses the stiff arm. And may have picked up a yard. Rashard Fant eventually tripped him up, but he dodged a couple of tacklers. Showed nice balance as he ran laterally and picked up one to the 45. McSorley, play action again. Again, he wants a deep ball. This one underthrown a bit, intended for Irvin Charles. Broken up by Richard Fant. And that is the specialty of Richard Fant. As we have an injured player, and it is McSorley slow to get up in the offensive backfield.
This is not what Penn State wants to see here in the month of November. Already down 3 tackles. You can see Saquon Barkley doing his job to pick up the blitzing linebacker there, Marcelino Ball. The big fella rolls right into the lower leg. Barkley slow to get up 2 plays ago. McSorley certainly feeling that sore, very, very sore ankle.
Another third down and 9. Blitz coming this time for IU. Again, it's Gesicki. Bumped out of bounds, short of the marker. And now what do you do if you're Penn State? 7-0 lead, and it's 4th down and 2 inside the Indiana 40-yard line.
Yeah, I think you keep the pressure on. I think the way you love the way your defense has played over the last 4 weeks. You do have a new quarterback here, and I think this is representative of the struggles that Trace is going to have trying to run.
Is this a package for the redshirt freshman Tommy Stevens, or is McSorley off the field because of the previous play? He's going to the trainer's table. Surprised that they're bringing the backup quarterback in on 4th down and 2.
Trying to get them to jump as well.
Play clock winding down, and now a timeout called by James Franklin from the sideline. So Tommy Stevens, would he actually come in and snap the ball on his first play off the bench, replacing Trace McSorley on 4th down and 2, or will Penn State punt? Allison, you're down there. How banged up does it look like McSorley is?
Well, McSorley is getting looked at now on the trainer's table. It looks like it might be something with his left foot. But also, guys, number 88, their tight end, Mike Gesicki, heading back on the field, but he came off bent over in pain as well. It looked like it was his left shoulder that was bothering him. So a couple of key players not feeling too hot right now for Penn State.
You saw Gesicki on the previous play there, and he just takes a shot right to that shoulder. He's been banged up. He's also had an ankle injury. Talk about Paris Palmer, the left tackle, being out. This is welcome to the month of November. I told you last week, Bob, that the bodies are hurting. School is heavy on you. You got a lot of things weighing you down. There's nothing better than seeing that number 10 next to you playing in big moments, big games down the stretch of the season.
Tommy Stevens still in a quarterback. Is this another attempt to get Indiana to jump? And maybe a pooch punt coming from the redshirt freshman quarterback in this area of the field? Let's see. They're going to run a play. Stevens shut down before he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Marcus Oliver gets the tackle right at the line. And Indiana gets a stop on downs.
These are 2 competent and very capable linebackers. Lots of zone read, and you're going to see big Marcus Oliver right here. He's going to read the play out. Right, they've got a pretty decent tell on that zone run. And they feel like with these 2 active linebackers being able to pull the trigger, reading their keys, studying the tendencies, they're 1st and 2nd on the total tackles on this team. You've seen Scales. That time you see Oliver finish.
And the tape is going on over the shoe of McSorley on the sideline. So now Richard Lego with good field position again. And Indiana's own 38-yard line. Divine Redding finds a cutback lane. He's into the secondary. And he's got a first down across the 50. Dragged down by Malik Golden, but not before he picked up 16.
How many times do we see proud running backs, quarterbacks on the other side, where the other guy gets so much attention and Saquon is so good? Redding's very capable himself.
Lego again looking for a shot. Just out of the reach again of Nick Westbrook, who was open and couldn't catch up to that pass.
Don't you love the mentality, though? You get into this area, and they're going to take their shots. You're playing to the strengths of your personnel. Just a little bit more air on that ball. Lego threw a gorgeous go route to Westbrook. A play that he nearly came down with. That time a post. There is no safety in the middle of the field. Every opportunity to go let your big man go get it. You throw it flat like that, your margin for error goes way down.
Redding for 2 yards. Evan Schwann made the stop, so now it will be 3rd down and 8.
And isn't this just a little bit emblematic as well? Like, Indiana is there. We watched them. We watched them go toe-to-toe with Ohio State. There are opportunities and plays to be had, but you got to finish.
They can't even wait for Penn State to get set. And Lego takes advantage, reaching back to make the catch. Camion Patrick, 3rd down conversion for Indiana. to the Penn State 28-yard line, a gain of 17.
Yeah, and once again, you've got a pretty good feel in those third downs, and you're going to get zone coverage. They do not allow the Nittany Lions to line up to run one of those defensive line stunts. There's no pressure. And that was a huge third down conversion. Let's see if that gets the confidence of the signal caller going a little bit.
Redding trying to swing wide. Inside the 25, down to about the 24 for a gain of 3. Jason Kabinda made the tackle. Devine Redding and Jordan Howard last year both had 1,000-yard seasons. Now it's Lego with a pump fake. He's looking end zone again. And this one, jump ball back of the end zone. And Amani Orunwarie had a chance at an interception. Now it will be 3rd down and 7.
And you love to take shots, and Richard Lego loves to show off that big arm, but watch the little bubble screen here. Watch the opportunity on 2nd and 8 to just look it off. Okay, go look it off and fire that ball out to the sidelines and put yourself into a 3rd and 2 or a one-on-one on the perimeter instead of a dead ball down the field.
Tunnel screen. Mitchell Page runs right into Jason Kabinda. May have lost the football. There's a pile up, and Penn State thinks they've recovered a fumble. And they have. Mitchell Page coughs it up. And once again, Indiana drives into Penn State territory and comes away empty.
And I think it was Malik Golden in there making an excellent play. You'll see the play, the tunnel screen, as you called there, Bob, coming right at you, but Golden comes off the block. The ball is clearly out, and then look at the pursuit. You hear these defensive coordinators call it a camera club. Kabinda's right in the middle of it. Golden's right in the middle of it. Then watch number of Nittany Lions come around that pile. 4, 5, 6 guys. Come and take away Kings. Part of the priority for Brent Pry, the defensive coordinator, and Kevin Wilson trusts that guy implicitly as much as anybody.
Trace McSorley is in at quarterback to start the drive for Penn State, so good to see for the Nittany Lions. And a handoff to Andre Robinson. He dances for 3. Let's go to Allison.
Trace McSorley back on the field after getting a pretty heavy tape job on that left ankle. And guys, I'm just curious. I mean, we've seen how this Penn State offense really has taken off since he's been able to utilize his legs more and hurt defenses running the ball. Brock, with that kind of injury, how limited is he going to be?
Well, it will be an impact, and I think especially on those scramble plays where he's been so devastating in the passing game, how he scored earlier on that 3rd down. But you're also watching an Indiana D-line and linebackers right now that are handling this beat up front with a lot of moving pieces on that O-line.
Saquon Barkley helps pick up the blitz. Gesicki has it fought away from Jonathan Crawford. Crawford, good position on Gesicki underneath. Now it will be 3rd down and 7.
It's the one-on-one you wanted. Offensive coordinators design plays to put their 6'6" tight end on a safety. The ball's a little behind Gesicki right there. Allows Crawford to come in and force yet again another critical 3rd and 7.
Indiana brings a 5-man blitz. McSorley slopped under. IU gets the sack on what might be the final play of the 1st quarter. And once again, they have a chance to get terrific field position as Penn State will be forced to punt.
Well, Allison asked the question, when will you know? And he's taped up that ankle. You can see it, but you don't see the burst or explosion here. A nicely timed blitz. You see the containment there of Indiana on the outside. Jacob Robinson, 91, a wonderful job. But not nearly the speed or explosion we've seen over the last few weeks from McSorley.
So that takes us to the end of the 1st quarter. Penn State with a 7-0 lead. This presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Penn State lining up to punt. The last time they punted, the ball went right through the hands of Blake Gillikin. The true freshman did a great job still getting the punt off, but you can see he's got that left thumb bandaged up, and Maybe an excuse, maybe an explanation. We've all hit a shot into the woods, then looked at our wedge and wondered why it might have been the golf club's fault. Let's see how the true freshman handles the snap here to start the second quarter. Perfectly and gets away a wobbly kick. Mitchell Page, fair catch at the Indiana 40-yard line. Again, coming up later, we'll have two more of the 9-0 teams in action on ABC. It's number 2 Clemson against Pitt in Death Valley at 3:30. And then we'll cap off the day with number 3 Michigan taking on Iowa at Kinnick Stadium at 8. Both games will be streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
Well, I'll say this, watching that Iowa game film against Penn State last week, they better play a whole lot faster. Man, they were slow a week ago. Penn State took advantage, ran all over them. Hawkeyes got to play a whole lot faster defensively tonight.
Third straight possession where Indiana has basically started at their own 40-yard line, and they still have no points on the board. Screen. Trying to maintain his balance was Luke Timian. He was brought down, and there is a flag down on the far side of the field as Oruwariye came up to make the stop for Penn State.
Can't play it any better than Amani just did right there as well. Seeing the whole play happen right in front of him. Not just the D-line that gets subbed out personnel-wise.
Here's an interesting decision for James Franklin. A chop block is called. So that's a big penalty in terms of yards, but they did get a tackle for a 3-yard loss on first down.
Illegal block below the waist. Offense number 10. 15-yard penalty. Replay first down.
So they'll give the down back to Indiana, but take a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, and you'll just see the eyes right away. The zone coverage affords you the opportunity to see everything in front. When you pull the trigger like that, you can expect the move, the wheel route, the double move coming behind it. But a no-no there from Donovan Hale. Excellently read play there from Amani.
Lego swings one to Divine Redding. Picks up what he can. Out to the 27-yard line. That's a gain of a couple.
And that's why you accept that penalty. I mean, you get a 15-yarder. That is significant real estate with an Indiana team that has controlled field position. Not been able to pay it off via points, but I like Franklin's decision to move him back.
Lego well protected. Long throw to the sideline. On his knees is Donovan Hale. Oruwariye lost where Donovan Hale was settling up against the sideline, and a big gainer and a first down.
And Franklin saying, oh my goodness, that was a 98-mile-an-hour frozen rope 40 yards down the field. I can promise you not many can make that throw in college football.
Redding inside the 40, carries a tackler to the Penn State 38-yard line. Gain of 7.5 on first down after Indiana turns 1st and 25 into another possession that crosses the 50-yard line. Lego finds a hold of Timian. Inside the 15. So Indiana is in the red zone.
And that look says it all. This kid can sling it. You knew it on tape. I mean, he's got 15 touchdowns. He does have 13 picks, and you better take advantage. You have opportunities.
Divine Redding. A little cutback lane to the 10. Inside the 5. That might be a first down. Let's see where they mark him down. Troy Apke saved a touchdown for Penn State. It is a first down. First and goal for Indiana.
Oruwariye had the big tackle earlier, and you can see Amani and Troy there. Apke, the safety, not giving up. And it's a good thing because this is an area of the field that Indiana likewise has found some struggles scoring touchdowns. A bit of a surprise with as good as they have been running the football this season.
Redding gets a chance. Shut down inside the 4-yard line by Curtis Cothran, who was suspended for the first 4 games this year, but was one of the players that the defensive coaches for Penn State singled out as making a big impact once they got him back on the field.
285 and athletic. I mean, usually those defensive tackles are either 300 plus and just space eaters, but 285 athletic certainly helps.
Redding to the 5-yard line. That's a loss of a yard. So a team that has struggled in the red zone now faces 3rd and goal At the 5, Garrett Sickles and Manny Bowen sandwiched Divine Redding.
Little surprise we haven't seen the move with the big fella, Tyler Natey, the 280-pound Wildcat quarterback, as well as Xander Diamont. Little Wildcat package they've had the last few weeks in these red zone opportunities. Not so on this first possession down here.
They go rolls right, throws right, wide open, walking into the end zone with a touchdown is Ricky Jones. Indiana a point after away from tying it up.
You love that concept. You're expecting man-to-man. You can't draw it up any better. James Franklin knows it, says, I got that play in my book as well. They motion into that bunch. You see it all the time. Little rub route, what you call offensively. Savvy move there from Mitchell Page, the slot receiver, to make sure that he avoids the contact, allows his buddy to come clean underneath in the flat.
And Brock, the moral of the story, if you're Penn State, you can't keep giving a pretty good offense the ball starting at their own 40-yard line and expect your defense to shut down great field position over and over and over again. 3 straight possessions starting at the 40, and finally, it's pay dirt here.
Yeah, number 21, the other moral, you get him going, you get him hot, he can be productive.
We're back with today's Aflac trivia question. Aflac, when was the last time Iowa beat an AP top 2 team? Obviously, they have Michigan coming in tonight to Kinnick for our ABC Saturday night football game. I'll give you that answer coming up. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, and Allison Williams here in Bloomington, where now we've got a football game tied at 7. Number 10 Penn State with an energized Indiana sideline as the Hoosiers get the equalizing touchdown. It's Irvin Charles deep to receive the kick. Drops it at the goal line. Picks it up at the 5. And gets dropped at the 11. Good play on special teams for Indiana, and our first chance to say hello to Cassidy Hubbard.
Talking about number 29, Dawson Fletcher.
So number 1 Alabama doing what the number 1 team is supposed to do, and that is dispatching an inferior opponent at home. But a whole different story for number 10 on the road. At the 11-yard line, Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley make up the Penn State backfield. Barkley now from inside the 10-yard line. It will be second down and long because Ralph Green just dragged down Saquon Barkley for a loss of 2.
Yeah, and that's been the story today. I mean, Saquon cannot get started. You're an elite running back, but you need creases and you need lanes. And that time, Ralph Green just tossed aside Steven Gonzalez. All sorts of moving parts on this Penn State offensive line without Paris Palmer, without Brendan Mann, without Andrew Nelson. Young guys in new spots, and right now they are not playing anywhere near the speed and velocity of this Indiana front 4.
And Sorley puts one up for Godwin. Adjusts, and it's knocked away. Ashawn Riggins, the true freshman, with the pass defensed. And now it's 3rd down and 13. Let's head down to Allison.
To your guys' point, Matt Limegrover, the offensive line coach for Penn State, trying to keep positive with these young guys. He told Bates, who's had to slide over to tackle, you're doing great. Just make sure you're staying square. And the message to the entire line, keep moving your feet. Be aggressive, but keep and trust your technique and trust your eyes.
Well, right now, unfortunately, Allison, that's wonderful teaching and coaching from Limegrover. But that Indiana front and those 4 guys right now know they're whipping the 5 in front of them. And they've got an injured quarterback with spatted up ankles behind.
It's Sorley from the goal line. Buying time, incomplete. Deshaun Hamilton couldn't one-hand it. So it's 3 downs and out, and backing up Penn State. They'll be punting from just inside the end zone.
Yeah, this offense has operated over the last 4 or 5 weeks at a totally different level because they've been able to dictate. Been able to dictate with their run game and play to the strength of James Franklin, who told Allison pregame, hey, we're still young. And while we have matured, Man, we got a lot of growing still to do. And as banged up as that crew is on that offensive line, going to make life a whole lot more difficult to dictate this afternoon.
So now Blake Gillikin from the end zone gets it away. And that's a really nice kick. Page from his own 43, forced into a fair catch. Terrific punt by the true freshman, 49 yards.
College football presented by Jared the Galleria of Jewelry. Brought to you by Pacific Life, helping generations of families achieve long-term financial security for over 145 years. Land Rover, above and beyond. And Dr. Pepper, it's a college football tradition.
What a perfect day to take a selfie and watch a football game here in Bloomington. And the home team challenging the road team, to say the least. Cheerleading crews for both sides getting in on the act. And Richard Lego with great field position starting this drive for Indiana at their own 42 again. And off to Devontae Williams.
Well, there's a pretty good picture just right there. And that's the difference of staying on schedule and how you attack a defense with balance. It's 3-4 yards on first down. It's Divine Redding with 38 yards and 9 carries. And on the other side, Barkley can't get going. And you can see Lego, man, when he is hot, he can hum it with anybody. It's just when it goes the other way and some of those decisions every game that he's got to grow out of, forcing it down the field.
Lego bullets one right to the first down marker, but Ricky Jones couldn't hold on. So now a chance for Penn State to get a third down stop. Lego wants to try to attack Penn State again with tempo before the Nittany Lions can get set. They snap it quickly on third down. Play action. Lego. Bullets one. And there's Mitchell Page. He's got the first down catch.
So why are they doing this? Why did we watch a couple hours of film yesterday, Bob? Because you saw it, Allison saw it, we all saw it. Man, they play a lot of zone on third and extra long. There's a pretty strong tendency here at Penn State. If we get in those situations, let's get right to our zone beaters.
Fumbling the football is Williams. It's loose and Penn State has it. Kevin Givens gets a gift fumble recovery. And the quarterback and the running back both with a confused look, as that is a backfield gaffe for Indiana that costs them the football.
Yeah, that's a redshirt freshman running back playing in because of some injuries. And if there's any question, you've got to go. I mean, you can't there run out and carry out your fake. And, I mean, you got to have a sense of urgency. And you could see the two talking. And Richard saying, hey, I'm trying to put it in your belly. And if you have any question whatsoever, you pull it and you go. And all that wonderful field position you had to take advantage of, well, you've handed right over to Penn State.
McSorley, and all of a sudden the run game at least gets started for 4 yards for Barkley as he gets to midfield.
Well, they got a hat on a hat for one of the first times. And that's, I'm sure, the conversation that James Franklin was having as I was watching with Joe Moorhead. We've got to find some run game. No more pulling, no more trapping. Let's just try to find a way to run right at these guys. I've got freshmen in there on my offensive line. I've got new starters. I've got new pieces. I'm trying to find and simplify. I think some run game will be critical here.
Indiana shows a second down blitz. Penn State recognizes it. 2nd down and 6. Here comes that blitz. McSorley throws right behind it. Man-to-man coverage. Deshaun Hamilton can't shake free. It will be 3rd down and 1 as Chase Dutra was able to bring down the redshirt junior. 3rd down and 1. Empty backfield.
It's been a lot of QB run.
What kind of wheels does McSorley have if they want QB run here with 2 taped up ankles?
How much will Indiana try to get him to make that call here as they are disguising themselves defensively too?
It'll be Barkley. Does he have the first down? It depends on the spot of the football. And it looks like he might be a half yard short, which gives James Franklin a decision to make. Chase Dutra made the stop. It'll be 4th down and at least a half yard, close to a full yard.
They don't pick it up. Let's hear you out there.
Good look there. Joe Moorhead, offensive coordinator, right on the sidelines. You go for it. didn't come here to be conservative. Came here to get my 6th win in a row.
Play clock under 10. Saquon Barkley breaks a tackle in the backfield, but he can't break a couple others. Another stop on downs for the Indiana defense, and they've got the ball back again near midfield. And again, it was Ralph Green. Tied at 7, a momentum-changing play again by the Indiana defense. Midway through the second quarter, tied at 7, and that Penn State offensive line is banged up, and Proctor having a hard time figuring it out.
Yeah, why do all those D tackles get drafted in the first round? Watch Ralph Green, the senior, pick on the true freshman here. McSorley's eyes, he's looking to the left, his own read, and he's looking right here with his eyes, trying to feel, but he can't feel that initial penetration from the redshirt senior D tackle. That has been the story of this first half. That's how you contain one of the country's best running backs. You don't let him get started at the point of attack.
Devon Redding flips one to Mitchell Page. The reverse. And Mitchell Page lost the football. And it looks as if Malik Golden may have jumped on top of it for Penn State. Sharif Miller got a hand in and helped knock it away. Another Indiana turnover. Another momentum swing. And look who's got the ball back at midfield again. Penn State, after their defense gets a takeaway.
And you could see it in the body language right there of Mitchell Page, and the veteran coach is going to talk to him. He loves Mitchell, but Mitchell's trying to do simply too much here. Wonderful move. You make the first man miss, but that is now 2 fumbles in traffic and gets an opportunistic defense. That's now 17 takeaways on the season for Penn State. And I'll say what I said earlier. Look at the guys flying to the football. Never give up on the play. That pursuit that you work on every day at practice. Really well done from Sharif Miller, forcing the fumble. Malik Golden on the spot.
Play action for McSorley. Takes a shot down the sideline. Incomplete, looking for Chris Godwin. Well, mistakes for Indiana were plentiful last week as well. They found a way to beat Rutgers, and they filled up the box score with nothing but mistakes.
And you know what? In the past, this would be catastrophic for Kevin Wilson's Hoosiers. But he's got a defense now, and Tom Allen on the other side, that much like they did against Rutgers a week ago, responded.
They're in a 7-7 tie now, in spite of the fact that they've given it away 3 times. 5 straight offensive possessions for Indiana that started between their own 38 and the 50-yard line, and only 1 touchdown to show for it. And here's Barkley. He gets shut down, a loss of a yard. Again, it's Ralph Green. But look at what Indiana overcame last week on the road to beat Rutgers. They missed 3 field goals. 2 of them were blocked. Had a missed point after as well. 4 giveaways. 1 of those was a scoop and score, and they still found a way to win the game.
And you did it because your defense held the Scarlet Knights to 1 of 16 on 3rd down. Found a way to get off the field, prevent the big plays, and you finally hear this crowd a little bit come to life and respond to a defense. It's overcome its offense this afternoon.
And they have made Penn State one-handed offensively. Nittany Lions just can't run the football. 3rd and 11. McSorley steps up, tucks it under. Tries to extend the play with a little pump fake, and he's got the first down and more. No, they'll say he stepped out. For a moment, it looked like he tiptoed along the sideline and kept the play alive, but he was able to scramble for the first down, and a pump fake where Brock, I don't think he ever intended to throw the football, helped get him an extra 5 yards.
No, and you're going to see it. It's exactly what it was. And those defensive guys, they can't help themselves. Right, even if you're 5 yards down the field, those guys are so trained to the ball, man, they just can't help themselves. There was nobody to throw to. The pump fake was on air, but it worked.
Jet sweep to Saquon Barkley. Give him a running start. That gets him going. And a flag out. Down the sideline, he's got a first down inside the 25 to the 21-yard line. Let's see what the call is. Looked like Deshaun Hamilton may have held out on the edge.
And that's a good point, Bob. You're trying to run in between the tackles because it sets up your play action pass.
Holding offense number 5. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay first down.
Right, you want that inside run game. You want that inside zone because there's your zone read and there's your play action pass and there's your run pass options. But there also comes a point where none of that is working. None of it. First down, third down, fourth down. So let's get our racehorse out on the edge and the boundary, and you can see Deshaun there just holding on to Marcelino Ball. One of the guys that I was watching today, that matchup on the perimeter. Penalty creates a 1st and 9.
An odd down and distance. Mark Allen is now in a tailback to the right of McSorley on 1st and 9. And the play clock under 10. Play action with a pump fake. McSorley looking downfield. Long throw to the sideline. Incomplete. Saeed Blacknall, the intended receiver. Good play by the safety, Jonathan Crawford. Now it's 2nd down and 9.
And there's a little picture of the difference in velocity. Lego makes that throw all the way across the field, and not much air on the ball. Trace got to get that up just a little bit earlier. He's trying to see everything develop, but on a long throw like that, the more you can anticipate, the more accurate it will be.
Now it's Miles Sanders in the backfield as Penn State is rolling their tailbacks. Sanders runs right into a blitz. Zeke Walker. He beelined right to the true freshman and made the stop, and now it's 3rd down and about 11 after a loss.
Yeah, there were some tendencies here that Tom Allen wouldn't give me the whole book, but he felt like there would be some opportunities for his second-level players. His linebackers, his nickel linebacker there, Zeke Walker, to get a pretty good feel with the run-pass action. And man, are they ever aggressive. But getting off the field here on 3rd and 11, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20, that's where McSorley's been at his best.
Charge timeout, Indiana. They're first. It's be a full media timeout.
Kevin Wilson jumped down the sideline to call that timeout. He did not like his defensive alignment before 3rd down and 11, so an opportunity to answer our Aflac trivia question. Aflac. With Iowa playing Michigan tonight. When was the last time Iowa beat an AP top 2 team? How about back in 1985? The opponent, Michigan, the starting quarterback, Jim Harbaugh. That's amazing.
Think Harbaugh remembers that?
We'll find out at the end of tonight. We check the scoreboard. He has not been shy about allowing his players to continue to score the football when it's
he is
a
crazy
foregone
like
conclusion.
a fox.
Yes.
He absolutely remembers every play. I bet he remembers every series. Don't let Jim Harbaugh in his new glasses and everything else fool you. That guy remembers everything.
Well, to your point about Penn State struggling on 3rd down this season, 4 for 9, not a bad percentage so far today. They don't put themselves in 3rd down often. 3rd and 11 after the Indiana defensive timeout.
You better watch the running back out of the backfield as well.
5-man rush. McSorley. Long throw to the sideline. Gesicki's going to have to break a tackle and can't do it. Stopped again by Jonathan Crawford. So Penn State will be forced to punt after they get the takeaway at midfield.
This conference has got some elite defenses. Michigan, the best. We saw Wisconsin last week. Ohio State can play defense. But this Indiana crew has been the story. Their difference with first-year D coordinator Tom Allen, that is to me the single biggest story. And the head coach didn't disagree yesterday. And you're seeing that today. That's 3 giveaways, 2 by this guy, Mitchell Page, and the defense has responded at every turn.
Gillikin with a wobbly kick. Page will let it bounce. And it might be loose. Did that hit an Indiana player before a Penn State player touched it? It did! Penn State is going to have 1st and goal at the 6. What is Isaac James thinking? As Mitchell Page ran away from the football. And Isaac James just lost where the ball was and where he was on the field.
Well, this is 2 parts. It's the kick returner that has got to be yelling and screaming for his buddies. Clearly, the right foot there, that's a great look right here. It's going to make contact with the right foot. But what Isaac has got to do is get out of the way. He should be looking and listening to Mitchell Page, who should be screaming at the top of his lungs, and that's what that is, to get out of the way, whatever that call is, and each team has it differently, to try to clear those guys out of the way. What a tough first half. Now 4 giveaways from the Hoosiers. And you give a top 10 team that many opportunities, they typically make you pay.
First and goal. Saquon Barkley back in to the left of McSorley.
I got to get to the bottom of the screen. I got to get to Chris Godwin down here. This is a true freshman on my best receiver.
In the back of the end zone, an easy pitch and catch. Guess who? Chris Godwin at Penn State gets the go-ahead touchdown as they take advantage of yet another takeaway, this one on special teams.
Yeah, it's one thing to do it against Rutgers. You know, one of the teams and programs that's struggling so badly in Chris Ash's first year there. It's quite another to do it against a team that's won 5 in a row. It's got a bunch of weapons, and Godwin's an excellent player, and you could see the conversation. That's Kevin Johns, QB coach, wide receiver coach, offensive coordinator, and he has just got to be telling his guys, will you please settle down and just give us an opportunity to execute before you keep giving the game away.
Point after tacked on by Tyler Davis. Penn State back on top by a touchdown. A gift 7, courtesy of IU. We return with our AT&T Inside Access, and in honor of Veterans Day and this weekend where we honor our men and women serving around the world. How about Indiana's ROTC, Army and Ranger Training, the 4th oldest Army officer development institution in the U.S. They began training soldiers here back in 1840 at IU. And we just can't thank our servicemen and women around the world enough for giving us the opportunity to enjoy a day like this, enjoy our freedom, and enjoy college football. And hopefully some of you are out there watching and enjoying today with us as well.
That is well said. And pretty neat last night to watch college basketball kick off with a couple tremendous games. I think this is going to go down to the wire today. I really do. There's got to be part of Kevin Wilson in Indiana that's looking at this score saying, we have given the ball away 4 times, 4 different occasions. And to be down just 1 possession against the number 10 team in the country, I'm going to respond if you're Richard Lego in Indiana.
And none of those 4 giveaways was an interception thrown by a quarterback who's tied for the most interceptions in FBS through 9 weeks. Richard Lego's got 15 touchdown passes to go along with 13 interceptions. No FBS quarterback to this point this season has thrown more, and yet he's been on target today. But Mitchell Page with 2 fumbles, and Isaac James, a backup receiver, allowing a punt to hit him in the leg and giving Penn State the ball at the 6-yard line. Divine Redding, and this time stacked up by the Penn State defensive front. Loss of a couple. Evan Schwann and Marcus Allen got the stop, but that was a change of the line of scrimmage by the Penn State defensive front.
Yeah, these slower developing plays have not been very good for either side. The execution has been a whole lot better, being able to hit the creases with Redding, going north and south, and on the other side, Barkley's had a hard time in any of their zone read concepts to get started.
Blitz coming. Lego, man-to-man, bullets one, and it's caught by Nick Westbrook. Now they say incomplete. He couldn't hold on. That's another chance for Westbrook to make a play. And it will be 3rd down and 13.
And this is just a little comeback thrown to the right spot, away from the defender. Got to finish.
Lego with a flag down. Long throw to the sideline. Climbing the ladder. Ricky Jones. If the play stands, that should be good enough for an Indiana first down. But it might be holding against the Hoosiers.
Holding. Offense number 65. 10-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
And that's right in the middle. That's redshirt senior Wes Rogers, and one of those line games that we talk about. In the rotation of this Penn State defense, that was Kevin Givens, ultra-quick D-tackle coming on a stunt, and all Wes could do was hold on for dear life.
3rd down and 23 from inside the 15-yard line. Divine Redding just getting what he can. And that's a pretty good play on 3rd down and long. At least it buys you some real estate before you punt it away, a gain of 17.
It's pretty remarkable as we do this, isn't it, Bob? As we go through the course of the season, and you just look at those turnovers and those teams that typically win that turnover battle, the penalty game, right? You've seen a hold and a chop block. Special teams struggles in errors. Those little things that certainly play enormous roles down the stretch of a season.
Returnable for John Reed. He's got room to run with a flag down. Reed inside the 40-yard line, if it stands.
During the kick, holding. Receiving team number 12. 10 yards from the end of the kick. First down, Penn State.
So Penn State has the football, and Brock, this to me is where you give the number 10 team credit. They're not playing their best.
Nope.
A long way from it. But they're also not making the mistakes and blowing the opportunities that an Indiana team with great field position, time and time again, only one touchdown, 4 turnovers. They're taking advantage of what Indiana's giving them.
Yeah, I think you're looking at James Franklin's crew maturing. And it's been about Saquon, and he's been the difference maker in the start, and he can't get going. And Trace McSorley in the passing game, not been efficient, but his scrambles, his playmaking, and then ultimately when you don't give an inch and give your opponent the amount of turnovers and giveaways, well, you put yourself in position on the road to win. And that's exactly what they're doing right now.
And in spite of the penalty, still pretty good field position for Penn State, as they'll at least be outside their own 20-yard line. Play action. McSorley gets to the sideline, tucks it under and runs. And steps out with a first down.
And these were the dead plays last year. You know, Christian Hackenberg's in the NFL, second-round pick, and, you know, and hopefully he can grow and get his opportunities there with the Jets or somewhere else, Bob. But those were plays that were dead a season ago. Much like the touchdown run, much like the 3rd and 15 scramble and pump fake. Those are the plays that number 9 is making this season.
Barkley, but he has gone nowhere. That's a loss of a couple. Why can't it be with the Jets? And why does it have to be about maybe it's going to happen somewhere else?
Well, he's got so many people ahead of him on the roster. He got so many stars and franchise quarterbacks and difference makers.
See, it's that kind of venom. I don't know where that comes from. Spoiled with your Seattle success, you bring that very elitist attitude to any analysis of my poor Jets. Second down and 12, 31-yard line for Penn State. McSorley steps up. Jump ball for DeAndre Tompkins. And it is wrestled away by Rashard Fant. Indiana gets a takeaway. And Fant on the return. Hit out of bounds inside the Penn State 35-yard line.
And that's trace that shows I was a high school safety as well. And I don't mind laying a little lumber. And that's something you've not seen from McSorley. Just the 4th interception on that side. And that's a no-no. And I know the thought process is I've got my guy in a one-on-one out here, but I got the country's best. When it comes to knocking that ball away, that's just the 2nd pick on the year for Rashard. But there's nobody better the last 2 years in college football of going up, high-pointing, either breaking it up or, in this case, making the interception. The folks looking at the replay, that could have been another 15 added on the end of that play with the tackle by McSorley.
Another opportunity with great field position for the Indiana offense. And off to Redding. Uses the stiff arm inside the 30-yard line. And again, going back to what we saw so much on tape from the last several weeks, and something that has been very effective, but we haven't seen it today, that Xander Diamant, Tyler Natee, Wildcat quarterback zone read. Here's Slago under pressure and sacked again.
Guess who?
Garrett Sickles in the middle of that defensive line for Penn State with Evan Schwan. Those 2 defensive ends collapse the pocket again.
And Garrett said, hey, Coy, you're a true freshman over there. You've had a nice season. You've started now 10 consecutive games, but let me give you a little lesson of what 4 years in the weight room is all about. He gets underneath the true freshman Kronk left tackle and drives him right into the quarterback.
Lego, long throw to the sideline, and this time it's scooped up. Donovan Hale out about that? 3rd down and 15 becomes a first down in the red zone.
I can't express how good a throw that is. All the way across the field, and these corners are sitting there watching, I think, in some disbelief.
Redding up the middle. A gain of 6.5, close to 7. Malik Golden got him in the open field.
I mean, as a corner, you're used to the trajectory of a pass or when it's going to come your way, and that is a monster throw from Lego.
Redding again to the 10-yard line, to the 5, into the end zone for an IU touchdown.
And I'll tell you what, Coy Cronk may have gotten beat on that first down pass rush or second down from Garrett Sickles, but the freshman does what Indiana's done today, and that is respond here and watch the true freshman here have the awareness and the eyes up to make that block right there on Kabinda. Typically those young linemen will have their head down, they'll go double team, especially when, well, they're getting beaten for sacks, and instead he's got his eyes up. He gives Redding the opportunity to go downhill and finish.
So finally, with great field position again, Indiana converts, and we are tied at 14. Divine Redding with another touchdown run. 5.5-yard average here in the first half against this Penn State defense. And that is his 4th rushing touchdown this season. Well, it's a college football Saturday, but that, of course, means tomorrow is an NFL Sunday. And at 10 a.m. on ESPN, you can get your NFL Sunday started with the Insiders. Their Sunday edition, all the early injury news, fantasy updates, the early breaking stories. And then at 11, it's the new Sunday NFL Countdown crew. They'll take you right up until kickoff. Both shows always streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN.
A little bit like Alex Collins, huh? Divine Redding, I'm trying to figure it out, and Trace McSorley saying I threw a one-on-one ball that my guy's got to get it or nobody. And I don't know if I'm going to pick on Mr. Fant too many more times. Divine Redding on his way to another 1,000-yard season. And Barkley's a superstar, and there's lots of dynamic backs, and Divine may not be the fastest, may not be the shiftiest, but Alex Collins at Arkansas had 4 1,000-yard seasons. He's going to put together back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons here. And you give him a chance to get started in that tempo, he can be a difference maker.
But the biggest play by far, 3rd and 15, that great throw as a squib kick is going to give pretty good field position with Ryan Buchholz gathering it up as we take a look at our good hands play brought to you by Allstate. Speaking of arm strength,
this is only 33 yards down the field, north and south. But when you throw it all the way across the field, I'm going to say this close to a 50-yard rocket shot. That was earlier. That too was, I believe, a 3rd down. That was 1.9 seconds in the air to go just about 50 yards. And it was a very similar trajectory and velocity on that 3rd down conversion that set up the Redding touchdown.
And our cameras also caught the cornerback, Amani Oruwariye, looking at his teammates, kind of with a look on his face, or at least the body language was like, where did that come from?
How did that happen?
How did that ball buzz past my ear, behind my head, as quickly as it did? Well, it looks like there was a loose football in the end zone somehow, so we're actually going to get a re-kick. And let's see if the strategy again is to squib it. Miles Sanders is deep to receive for Penn State. Again, it is a squib kick, and this one gets the job done as Sanders fields it dead stopped at his own 12-yard line. If you want to bottle up a return group, the squib kick finds a hole in that Penn State return unit. Now, Indiana has 2 timeouts, only 53 seconds to go before halftime, so even calling their timeouts, they probably can't force a punt.
So is this where the ball came from? All the kids just off the end zone? I used to hate wiffle ball. When I hit that foul ball in the neighbor's yard with the dog, I had to climb over the fence like Sandlot, try to get the dog, throw it back over, and I think unfortunately that ball just bounced out of the playground onto the playing surface. Friday, by the way, was the name of that dog. He did not like the wiffle balls.
McSorley, a little Statue of Liberty handoff to Saquon Barkley, who picks up a couple of yards, and a timeout will be called by Indiana. Ralph Green made the stop.
Ralph Green's had a monster afternoon.
Let's see if they put any time back on the clock, as the clock ran down to 43 seconds and seemed to run a couple of seconds past when the Indiana timeout was called. And I think that might be what Kevin Wilson wants to see.
He's a fun guy to talk to, huh? The chances we do when we go on the road on Fridays before the game to meet with a number of the coaches. Very honest about where he is. Didn't want to make too much of this game against a top 10 team. You didn't really have to say it. You know what's at stake here when you're 1-18 all time against the group on the other sidelines.
Well, 25 and 45, that to a certain extent is indicative of the program he took over and where he is now slowly, incrementally trying to get a basketball school's football program to the point where going to back-to-back bowl games and getting some players that have a future.
But looking for that marquee win. Look at what Franklin got just weeks ago against Ohio State.
Saquon Barkley again. He's got room. There goes Saquon Barkley. Now to about the 33-yard line. Now let's see if that changes Penn State's strategy at all. They're just running the ball down there, I would think, trying to get to halftime. But now they will call a timeout as Indiana gives up a 21-yard run. All Penn State was trying to do was to run the half out. You're starting inside your own 15-yard line. You're giving Saquon Barkley the ball, just hoping the play takes enough time off the clock that once Indiana uses their next timeout, it's under 40 seconds, and you can just take a knee. And instead, their entire strategy now changes as Tyler Davis may be put in reachable field goal range with 38 seconds to go and a timeout now left for the Nittany Lions.
And unlike Indiana, who has struggled so much with their field goal production, you see that line about the 28-yard line. Still a timeout left on the clock. Better be careful throwing to the field, and Mr. Fant, he has been all over these receivers with the pick on the previous possession.
McSorley out of the pocket. That's incomplete. Trying to find Barkley. Down to 32 seconds to go before halftime. Indiana won the toss and deferred, so they will start the third quarter with the ball coming off the touchdown that tied the game at 14 if they can stop Penn State before the break.
You got to be deeper than the deepest here. In the young true freshman corner to the bottom of the screen. Cannot let anybody get behind you.
Here comes a blitz, and Barkley breaks a tackle in the backfield, has nowhere to go. And that might just take us to halftime. Penn State's not going to want to run another play. Indiana can use their timeout and force Penn State to snap and take a knee if they would like.
That was my guy Marcelino Ball right there. One of the adjustments and conversations for Joe Moorhead and staff at halftime is, okay, hold on a second. And these guys are attacking us. Our zone read and what we are doing. And how many times Saquon can't even get started. Now, these guys have been incredibly nosy. They've been downhill. And I think you're going to see a little bit of play action from James and Joe Moorhead, offensive coordinator, in the second half.
Saquon Barkley with 15 carries for 21 yards in the first half. And, of course, that a running back that was averaging close to 170 per game over the last 4 as we go down to Allison.
Coach Wilson, some self-inflicted wounds with the 4 turnovers. How have you managed to make this a tie game at the half?
Defense doing a really good job. We were fortunate to make a few plays. We just got to take out the negative. And we were 2 weeks ago third in the country in fewest fumbles, and now back-to-back weeks. So it's good players. We're going to work hard to fix it. We're playing hard. It's a great game.
You mentioned your defense. That front 7 specifically, what have they done well to really limit their run game and get after the quarterback?
Well, in particular, D-line, there's not really maybe a special guy as a group. They're playing hard. The coverage just gives a chance because they're holding up. So it's really just a great team effort and love what they're doing.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
14-14, our score at halftime here in Bloomington. After the break, it's the halftime report.
baby. Wherever you like. Hey. Yeah, hey. Whatever you want.
Welcome back to college football, and welcome back to the Big Ten on ABC. Just about set for the start of the third quarter, tied at 14 here in Bloomington. A road test, every bit that for number 10 Penn State as they are taking on Indiana. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams here in Bloomington. Mistakes for both teams. Really the story in the first half. Penn State, boy, they had opportunity after opportunity off of miscues for Indiana, and yet can't take the lead through the break.
Not many times are you -3 at home as Indiana is yet tied. And I think it's a real compliment to their defense. This defense has been much improved. One of the most improved in the country, in fact, and they showcased it yet again. Backs against the wall, they've responded. How about Saquon Barkley? -25 yards of negative yards in that first half. He's a little bit over that, obviously. He's got some positive plays, but very few. He's had a hard time ever getting started.
Indiana starts the third quarter with the ball. It is a returnable kick. Devontae Williams brought down at the 18-yard line. Here's a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And Saquon Barkley, as you said, Brock just has not been able to get going against that defensive front.
21 yards net, but 25 going the other direction. Any of the slower developing in his own read, Indiana's been in the backfield. And credit to Divine Redding and credit to play caller Kevin Wilson for staying true to the balance. 20 passes, 19 runs, and real success in the tempo. That's when they found the most kind of activity and traction in their run game, when they've sped that tempo up.
Divine Redding on first down. Drives his way out to about the 23-yard line. That was a heck of a hit that he took. Still able to pick up 5 yards. Marcus Allen came up. He was the first to arrive for Penn State.
And he will whack you.
They go on second down. And another strike to Mitchell Page. Let's check in with Allison.
It's a challenge up front right now for Penn State. Talking to James Franklin at the half about the fact that they came into this game without their 2 starting tackles. They lost Paris Palmer on the first drive of the game, so they've got Ryan Bates, who's moved over from guard to tackle. And those guys, they just got to settle down and find a way to win up front, because that's why they haven't been able to capitalize on some of the turnovers and takeaways they've been able to force on defense and special teams. And guys, he said this. He said, I don't like being a second half team, but we have been all year, and I think that's going to continue here today.
That is true. They are 10th in FBS in second half scoring, averaging a little under 20 points per second half. This has been where they have played their best football, although Indiana has also been an excellent team in the second half as well. 2nd and 13 after a loss of 3 on first down. Alex Rodriguez picks up what Divine Redding lost. Evan Schwan brings him down, but it will be 3rd and 10.
And let's see the tempo here. This has been another adjustment on third down. Taking a little more time here, but they found some third down success. Yep, and now they're going to come to the line expecting zone.
And they go with the quick snap. Lobs one, and it's hauled in by Westbrook with a flag down.
That's going to be a hold. That's going to stay in. That's going to be hold on the perimeter there.
15, Nick Westbrook.
On Grant Haley, the undersized corner. We've seen this matchup, as has James Franklin, 2, 3, 4 different occasions today. Haley's held his own on Westbrook, but not that time.
Holding. Defense number 15. Penalties decline. Result of play, first down.
And when you're a bigger receiver going against an undersized guy, and you may have a little disadvantage speed-wise, you got to win right at the start, and that's exactly what he does. The 2 15s matched up. You can see Grant Haley reaching from behind, but once he's behind, Westbrook's able to stack him on his back, go up, make the big play down the field.
A couple of times in the first half, Westbrook had an opportunity, one for a touchdown to make a big play, and couldn't make the catch that he just made. Off right guard for Rodriguez for 3.
Second half is a game of adjustments, and I think both these staffs do a nice job. And Penn State's got to make an adjustment defensively. They are 6 for 10 now, allowing third downs, many of them the long variety, because Indiana's playing fast and knowing what they're getting coverage-wise.
Still the redshirt sophomore as the back, a former walk-on who got tripped up. 4 yards shy of the first down. So it will be 3rd down and 4 for Indiana. And let's see if Richard Lago gets them set and they go at that pace again.
And it slows down the line stunt, slows down some of the pressure, slows down the substitutions, and here they go again.
Man-to-man coverage on the edge. Instead, it's a toss, and this time Penn State is there to get the backfield stop. Brandon Bell and Marcus Allen bring down Rodriguez, a loss of a yard. Now it'll be a long field goal attempt.
Yeah, and this is a boom or bust play. When you run into the short field, the boundary as it's called, field and boundary in football, and you run a toss, you saw a bubble screen earlier into the boundary, you think you get a numbers advantage. But to me, that just squeezes any opportunity for your playmakers.
Griffin Oaks last season was the Big Ten Kicker of the Year, first team All Big Ten, and was 24 of 29. It has been a completely different season for this special teams unit. And now it's Mitchell Page in at holder, and that's a change from 47. This one's got the leg, and it's good. It was a nightmare last week for the field goal unit for IU in their win against Rutgers. A missed field goal, a couple blocked. They botched an extra point as well. But from 47 yards out, Griffin Oaks here, perfect. And Indiana has the lead back. You think we have drama between Penn State and Indiana? Well, up on the berm to our right, there's a football caught up in the tree, and these guys are doing everything that they possibly can to get it. And I think actually there's not just one football. Yes, there's two. See, the one on the right was stuck. They're playing football up on the hill. The one on the left, that's the give me a ball so I can throw this one up there and try and knock them both down.
Right.
That didn't work. So now we're getting the human pyramid. We've got a dad up there, I think, worried that an emergency room trip is somewhere in our future. Miles Sanders watches the ball sail through the back of the end zone, and maybe the kids can run down the hill and scoop up that one because they're short of football.
Uh-oh.
They're actually short 2 footballs. Oh, here we go.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Now, this is a small ball. See, this could work. I think this is a good strategy. Better than the shoe that they just threw at the first one.
Better not tumble over the fence.
Oh, here, wait. Now, the guy with the high tops down at the bottom, he could hit the poor kid right in the back of the head if he tosses a sneaker. Now we've got 1 ball over the fence, 2 in the tree. I don't know that there's anything on the field that's more compelling as to whether or not they can get those 2 footballs out of the tree. That might be the next stop for Allison Williams. Saquon Barkley, a gain of a yard on first down as the story for Penn State continues to be trying to get their best player rolling.
Yep.
And Brock, a defensive front that's not allowing it for Indiana.
Oh, and they're not allowing the run game. And the run game has dictated why all that success the last 5 games, because they've been able to be balanced and be a run-first team, and they can't right now.
16 carries for 22 yards, and now whistles stopping play. It looks like this may be a false start.
And you go back to just that last play.
False start. Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
And James Franklin knows it. He was adamant with Allison. We've got to find a way to just slow things and settle things down with an offensive line with all sorts of moving parts. And what they're doing at times is they're blocking the 4, but they're not getting in any time to the second level. T. Gray Scales, 8. Marcus Oliver, 44. Watch them. Watch these guys at this level in the run game. They're meeting Saquon Barkley at the line of scrimmage.
Play action for McSorley with a pump fake. Looking for Godwin. Incomplete. Again, they test the true freshman Ashawn Riggins, and again, he is able to get the stop. 3rd down and 14.
And this poor guy, the surrender cobra. I just want to play. Can we just get the ball back and play? And for Penn State, can we find a 3rd down conversion? Can we find our style of play? Because they've had a hard time doing so.
Well, that's the reaction of a second football getting stuck in the pine tree. Indiana with a 4-man front. Now they show a 5-man rush. Here it comes. A stunt up the middle. And that results in a high throw by McSorley and an interception. Tony Fields on the return. And a flag down. Thrown well after the pick.
Yeah,
the blitz came right in the face of Trace McSorley on the stunt game up front by the defense for Indiana, And he sailed that throw into a turnover.
He sure did. It's going to be Tyler Green, I believe, for Indiana with a block in the back on the return. But it doesn't take away, once again, from Indiana dictating defensively. Stop that run early. Put Trace and McSorley in a position to pass first.
There is no foul in the play for a block. Block in question was from the side.
So now they pick up the flag, so it will be a takeaway for Indiana and a first down inside the 30.
You see the perfectly timed stunt and blitz right up the middle, forces McSorley to get rid of it early. It sails. There was the questionable block by Tyler Green, number 3, coming into the screen.
How hard is that as a quarterback to deliver the ball with the proper trajectory when you know you are about to take one right in the chest?
It's all about anticipation, Bob, at that point. But the one thing you can't do ever, ever, ever is high late down the middle.
That's what he did. Now Lego, swing pass, and the flat. Ricky Brookins inside the 25, knocked out of bounds at the 20. A yard shy of the first down, so 9 yards on first down.
And that's 2 now for McSorley. 3 for the entire season coming into this afternoon. Because the offense hasn't been on his shoulders like it is for Lego in a pass-first system.
Brookins with a cutback. He's got the first down. Jason Cabinda, who was injured in the opening game, missed 5 games in the heart of this Penn State defense, returned against Ohio State. He and Brandon Bell both came back for the Ohio State game, and boy, were they huge in that win. Now they need them as part of a red zone stop here. Lego, long throw, and that's completed inside the 10-yard line to Luke Timian. First and goal at the 7.
Number 82.
You see a gunslinger feeling incredibly confident, don't you? I mean, look at just the difference between the two quarterbacks. A little bit of air, a little bit of time to throw in the pocket.
And not wasting any time. Brookins with a flag down.
Brookins, the ball carrier for Indiana.
That's going to be a hold again. That's that matchup. Kevin Givens on the tackle Rogers.
Flag on the play.
Jason Cabinda's hurt.
Holding, offense number 65. 10-yard penalty, replay first down, timeout for an injured player.
So the junior Mike linebacker, who again returned after a 5-game absence, he and Brandon Bell both had been out. Both came back to anchor the middle of that defense for Penn State in their win against Ohio State. And a big defensive improvement since then for the Nittany Lions, and it's good to see him get up quickly. James Franklin knows how important he is. And this is one banged-up football team.
You're going to see this matchup right here. The center Rogers. You see the movement in the stunt, and that's some of the quickness in the middle there of number 30, Kevin Givens. That's a second hold. Those hands get outside the frame, and you reach and tug at the jersey. That's going to be an obvious penalty, and I would say, man, that really sets Indiana back, but they've been phenomenal in their third down situations. Tremendous in their passing game. And Lego's had time to set his feet and scan. He has been throwing rocket shots.
So now the former walk-on Brandon Smith is in. Tyler Natee takes the direct snap, goes up the middle. The first time we've seen the Wildcat that we've seen in the last couple of weeks for Indiana be so effective. And Natee direct snap inside the 10-yard line. He's out there with the backup quarterback, Xander Diamant.
That's a large man. I was watching the guys warm up. I'm like, what is this lineman doing with the running backs? He fills up his shorts and uniform. He is a big fella going north and south.
Again, the snap to Natee. To about the 6-yard line where it will be third down. Brandon Smith made the stop. And let's see if that same group stays on the field. No, they're going to bring their base offense back in for third down and goal.
In the exact situation earlier in the game, man-to-man coverage, Penn State gets picked. Right, little rub route, perfectly executed. What a big play is a perfectly executed rub route. I'm going to guess you're going to see zone coverage here. Kevin Wilson anticipating that as well with his play call.
Indiana trying to take a 2-score lead off the turnover. Play clock down to 4. Devine Redding breaks a tackle short of the goal line. It'll be 4th down and goal at the 1.
I was just about ready to open my mouth with zone coverage and say, don't be surprised if they run it here. That was a box count given, and Kevin Wilson, I bet you love that play call from Lego. Confidence to run the right play, confidence to run the ball even on 3rd and 6. That's what it does. It sets up an ever-critical 4th and 1, and I love going for it here.
And they're going to bring the Wildcat group back in. Nate T and Diamond both back on the field, as is Divine Redding.
Watch for Diamond's speed, especially to the field. Got lots of room to operate, and he can scoop.
Play clock winding down. It's at 5. 4th and goal. Diamond lines up to take the direct snap. Now the look over, and you have to call timeout. And Kevin Wilson's not happy. Using a timeout here. So valuable are those timeouts in a close game in the second half. They just could not get the call from the sideline that they wanted quickly enough to beat the play clock. 4th and goal when we come back to Bloomington.
Football presented by Jarrett the Galleria of Jewelry. Brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. Cadillac. And the Quicksilver card from Capital One. Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back every purchase, everywhere.
On your right, pictures of the USS Indiana, a warship during World War II, dedicated to IU. On your left, the prow of that same warship. And now 4th down and goal from just inside the 2 after the timeout. And it's back to the base offense with Richard Lego out there with Divine Redding to his right. Lego rolls right. Fires one into the end zone, and it's broken up. Brandon Smith in for Jason Kabinda, got the stop as Nick Westbrook was the intended receiver. A huge turnaround and a stop inside the 5-yard line in a goal-to-go situation for the Penn State defense.
I think Mitchell Page asked his coach not to run anything more to the field or to the boundary, get us to the field, and that is a tremendous, and I mean tremendous effort from Brandon. That play is running away from him as a middle linebacker, and he's got the awareness to see what's going on in front of him. Right? And you're in zone coverage, but you have to have man principles at the moment of truth. And he's in his zone, and he sprints, he undercuts. He forces the ball right back into the hands of the Penn State offense in a precarious situation with their struggles up front.
They'll try and run it out of the end zone. Saquon Barkley bounces it outside and dangerously was going along the goal line for a moment. Niall Sykes forced him out. He picked up a yard, but that was a moment of angst, I'm sure, for James Franklin.
Just watch the fast flow of these linebackers. There has got to be some plays at the second level. I love the shots down the field, but just watch the linebackers. The D-line is doing their thing. But these guys are playing so fast flow in any of those run situations.
And Sorley flips one to Gesicki. Plenty of room out in front. And he is able to hurdle his way out to about the 25-yard line. Well executed misdirection down inside the 5 by Penn State to pick up 21.
Can't do it better. That is exactly the call for fast flow linebackers. You get the nickel pressure, Marcelino ball off the edge, but look at 44. Look at right there, you see Oliver on the line of scrimmage and loses sight, loses responsibility, the sneak route underneath him. That's how you take advantage of over-aggressive linebackers.
Play action. Nice catch. Godwin, strong catch with Ashawn Riggins draped on his back to pick up another Penn State first down.
Same real estate. Those are the exact same areas that you want to attack. You do it first time by outflanking it, getting those linebackers to the line of scrimmage. That time, throwing right behind them is once again, they're going to aggressively stop the run first. That was a command and teaching point all week.
Back to the zone read and Barkley. And that's a productive run. 2.5 yards on first down. Tigray Scales was there to help bring down Saquon Barkley, but today, every yard has been tough sledding for the entire run game for Penn State, much less just Saquon Barkley. Barkley again. Lost yardage. A loss of 2. Marcus Oliver, another tackle for loss for an Indiana defense that came into today with 10 sacks and 28 tackles for loss in their last 3 games. And Brock, they've kept that dominance up front, continuing today.
Here comes the hometown faithful trying to create as much noise as they can.
Third down and 9. Play clock down to 4. Indiana shows blitz. Here they come. McSorley in trouble. Heaves one to the sideline. Marcelino Ball got the pressure on Trace McSorley. Marcus Oliver was there as well. And Indiana gets the third down stop.
I really enjoyed Tom Allen yesterday, defensive coordinator. He's one of the good ones. He better be on the Frank Broyles list with what he's done for this defense here at Indiana as one of the top coordinators in football, because he's been relentless. I asked him, are you a little afraid, Tom, to dial up some of those pressures, knowing you could put some guys in vulnerable spots with Barkley and one-on-one? He said, nope, we do what we do, and we do it awfully fast.
Gillikin with a high punt and a fair catch by Mitchell Page. Indiana has the football and a 3-point lead late third quarter. Just in case you were worried about whether or not those footballs were retrieved from the pine tree that we were showing you earlier, yes, success. And our reporter on the scene is Allison Williams, checking in with Football Game.
I had to come investigate. We've got a good game going on, but this is where the drama was unfolding at halftime. We had up to 3 footballs stuck in the tree gate going on, and I came up, the cops were here, there was a lot of finger pointing, but I've sorted it all out. Hunter started it. He punted the first football up into the tree. The other guys came to the rescue. Nevin got the job done. All footballs have been safely removed. And we can proceed with the game.
Relief that we feel up here in the booth, it is palpable as Tyler Nate goes up the middle, a gain of 6.
It's always a punter's
7 on
fault.
first
It's
down.
always Hunter the punter. They always get you in trouble.
You're right. You always throw the punter under the bus for some reason. Second down and 4 for Indiana with a 3-point lead, late third quarter. Again, they go Wildcat. Again, it's Nate. We were wondering when we were going to see this personnel group and Brock as effective as they have been the past couple of weeks. They continue to move the pile for a first down, and now Xander Diamant lines up to possibly take the direct snap.
You would love nothing more than this, to continue to shorten this game and run first.
Diamant drops back to throw. He's going to throw a deep ball, and he has a connection. Camion Patrick inside the 10. That is not the call you're expecting with that group on the field.
How about that? How about Xander Diamant that lost his job? Right, he's watched a junior college kid come in here and take a job that he thought was his. And speaking of a junior college kid, Camion Patrick, well, he had one last week. Randy Moss loved it. He got Moss, made the play a week ago, makes another huge one as Indiana continues to run and take their shots.
Diamant lines up in the pistol on first and goal. And off to Nate. The bowling ball lowers his shoulders down inside the 6, close to the 5.
Diamant doesn't weigh 170 pounds, and he knows. You said to me earlier about McSorley knowing you're going to get hit. A little different when you're throwing a go route versus over the middle. Just put some air on and trust your guys to bring it down.
Now it's second down and goal at the 6 with Lego back in at quarterback and Divine Redding in the backfield as well. Redding up the middle into the end zone for an Indiana touchdown.
Mitchell Page on the hold.
2-score lead for the Hoosiers with a little over 3 minutes left in the third.
James Franklin's been here before. They were down bigger to Ohio State. And he's going to remind his team that has shown this season they've got some guts and resolve. But right now, this defense has been unable to stop the run consistently on early downs. That is the biggest story of the game. Xander Diamont loves it. He has the shot deep down the field to put them into the red zone. But if you'd have told me today, and you'd have told these two head coaches, which one's going to find early down run success? Which one's going to be able to move people consistently at the line of scrimmage? I think both head coaches would say whoever does that wins. And you can even put the takeaways and the giveaways and the field position gaffes and the special teams gaffes aside. It's been the line of scrimmage, been the difference for the Hoosiers.
Coming up later, two more of the 9-0 teams in action here on ABC. The second-ranked Clemson Tigers taking on Pitt, Death Valley at 3:30. Then number 3 Michigan and Iowa in Iowa City at 8. Both games will be streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN.
And speaking of line of scrimmage, that Michigan-Iowa game, that'll be one of the faster. I think Kirk and Chris better get ready for the clock running as both of those teams are going to try to absolutely establish the run game as well.
Miles Sanders from inside the 5. Good field position for Penn State at their own 30, now down 10 as we take a look at this week's college football playoff rankings brought to you by Capital One. And speaking of the top 10, Penn State struggling. They are in some trouble. Alabama, no trouble. All of the rest of the top 10 in action later on. Brock, what are the games that catch your eye?
I mean, obviously, this is the one. Washington's schedule on the front end has been soft. It's going to get very difficult. No more difficult or no tougher schedule down the stretch of the season. With USC and Apple Cup in a couple weeks, conference championship game, and I think a lot of the country are going to be watching to see are the Huskies legit. Game day was out there today, incredible spectacle. Let me see if they're worthy of that number 4 ranking, and I think they are.
Saquon Barkley turned back again. Nowhere to go. T-Gray Scales, Ashawn Riggins combined for the 9th carry of the day for Saquon Barkley. That's gone for negative yards.
And once again, look at T-Gray Scales. Look at him before the snap. Do you see his body? You talk about great sprinters with a body lean, or great runners on the other side with that forward lean. I mean, these guys right here at this level, those linebackers are so keyed in. They're trusting the 4 guys in front of them to maul and manhandle the O-line, and they are teeing off. Man-to-man pressure look.
Play clock winding down. Here comes the blitz. Long throw. And it's hauled in by Saeed Blacknall. He wrestles for it and has it at the Indiana 31-yard line. Trace McSorley took a shot and found Blacknall.
And he's trying to collect himself right now and I think get his win back. It's a pressure look. He checks to it. He knows he's got a one-on-one, and Saquon doesn't help him. Saquon goes to his knees. That is his blitzing linebacker. And they pick on Fan. He had the interception earlier, and how about that? How about that trust in my teammate if I'm Trace McSorley? Different guy. It was Tompkins earlier. Same thought. I got a one-on-one, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to make me look good.
Now it's Andre Robinson at tailback. A gain of 43 for Penn State. Might turn the game around. Up the middle. That's a run of about 5 yards on first down. At least 4.
You know what it is as well, Bob. And we had Penn State 3 times last year. And it's not a slight on the situation from a season ago at all. It is a compliment to this guy and how people want to make plays for him. Not the biggest, not the strongest arm, but the guys around him believe. He's given them a sense of belief. He's given them a sense that we can come back from anything, and they go after plays.
McSorley checks it down, looking for Barkley with a flag down. That one's knocked away by Marcus Oliver. We'll have to check the penalty marker.
That's going to be in the neutral zone, I believe, for Indiana. A free play there for Penn State.
Offside. Defense, number 8. 5-yard penalty, results in a first down.
Christian Hackenberg, big time, right? Freshman, stud, star, second-round pick, prototypical guy. Trace McSorley, not 6 foot. Right, zone read guy, just won in high school. But that position, when you hear people say, well, what's the it factor? Does this guy have it? Well, he doesn't have it from what the NFL looks for, But at the collegiate level, to be gutsy, to be tough, to stand in and deliver, and even though I've thrown 2 picks, I'm going to continue to sling it and believe in the people around me. Belief is such a critical element at that position.
And with no run game to speak up to support him. McSorley looking end zone for Godwin. He's got it! That's a Penn State touchdown! What a catch by Chris Godwin.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. We're a run-first team. We've got to be a run-first team. Nope, not today. Not with 3 tackles out. Not with all the moving pieces. Can't run it. Love that shot, Joe Moorhead. Hey, Trace, I know you've thrown 2 picks, but this is what it's going to take. It's going to take perimeter passing game today. You're going to have to just trust and put it out there and rely on your guys to go up and get it. Perfectly thrown pass, picking on the true freshman, Riggins at corner, and Godwin the difference maker that time.
And McSorley, without the run game, Brock, just keeps on coming at you and finding a way to at least keep it a game and stick the ball in the end zone.
Been very easy at 24-14. My ankle hurts, my ribs hurt. It's not going our way. I'm not getting really any help to balance out the offense. But instead, it was Blacknall on the deep go route. That's as simple as it gets, like those kids playing up in the trees. You run out there by the tree, and I'm going to throw it to you and make sure you catch it. Don't tip it into the branches so we lose and have to spend a half hour kind of on our game. And we've spent 3 quarters here being choppy offensively. Right, not being anything reflective of what we've been this season, but James Franklin knows it. He believes in that guy, and more importantly, the people in the huddle do.
Well, you mentioned his high school record. He went to Briar Woods in Virginia, and his high school record as a quarterback was 55-5. Got his team to 4 state championship games in his 4 years and won 3. Threw 36 touchdown passes, nearly 3,300 yards as a senior, and yet very few schools looked at him as a quarterback.
Yep.
I mean, he got 100 tackles and 8 interceptions as a defensive back as well during his junior and senior years. And teams wanted to draft or bring him in, recruit him as an athlete. And Penn State gave him a chance to come in and back up Christian Hackenberg, which he did all of last season. And now a kick out of bounds by Joey Julius. So that will give Indiana good field position at their own 35.
I think he was amped up. He just wanted to go get somebody.
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team number 99. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
Week 10, Monday Night Football. Our matchup at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN features 2 of the best receivers in the NFL. A.J. Green of the Bengals take on Odell Beckham and the 5-3 Giants at MetLife Stadium. Our coverage begins Monday night with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's at 6, also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
We have a big series here for both offense and confidence and defense here for Penn State to respond.
Divine Redding, a little jump cut to create 2 yards as he dodged a tackler at the line, brought down by Ryan Buchholz. We are now in the final minute of the 3rd quarter. Penn State ranked number 10 in the college football playoff rankings. Their highest ranking obviously ever in the CFP rankings, and their highest ranking since 2011. And try to prove that ranking is no fluke. But they have been tested all day today by Indiana. It looks like the Hoosiers will take a lead into the 4th quarter. Redding again. And it will be 3rd down to start the 4th quarter.
And those were 2 back-to-back snaps. This is a check-with-me system, and you could see Lego doing it. And he's looking at 2 safeties. And those were 2 snaps that I guarantee you James Franklin and his defensive staff went over to that D-line and said, you have got to be difference makers. Are you watching the Hoosiers on the other side in their D-line? They have taken the game and made it very difficult on us. You have got to do the same. 2 very good snaps from a front 7 that was getting run on too much in the early downs.
Penn State at 7-2. Their best record since starting 8-1 back in 2011. Looking for their 6th consecutive Big Ten win. But they'll have to do it in come-from-behind fashion in the 4th quarter as Divine Redding and the Hoosiers take a 3-point lead to the final 15 minutes. fourth quarter here in Bloomington. Can Indiana hold on and get an upset win over number 10 Penn State, or can the Nittany Lions pull off the come-from-behind win? Big play here to start the fourth, 3rd down and 7. Richard Lego looking at a blitz, throws a screen behind it, and it is sniffed out. Ricky Brookins had nowhere to go. Jason Kabinda was there first for Penn State.
Well, we've been complimenting the Indiana linebackers, deservedly so. Marcus Oliver, T. Gray Scales, are 2 leading tacklers. But it was Brandon Smith, the replacement for Kabinda, down on the red zone on a 4th down that made a tremendous play of awareness, and that time Kabinda could see everything happen in front of him. Once those linemen pulled out, he pulled the trigger, stopped that play dead in his tracks.
And Jordan Smith, backup corner, was shaken up on the play, so that's why the officials stopped the clock for the moment. It'll be Greg Garrity back deep to receive the punt.
The previous play is under further review.
And I'm not sure what element of this play they want to look at via replay. Jordan Smith was walked off the field, and he was shaken up. And we're trying to get the word from the replay booth as to what aspect of that play that they wanted to get another look at.
Yeah, there's no ball security issue. There was no turnover in play.
We didn't see the hit on Jordan Smith, so maybe it was away from the ball, a possible targeting call. Let's see.
Targeting on the play. Number 12 has to go out for a medical evaluation.
So no targeting, but they do want to have Jordan Smith get looked at, which was going to happen anyway, because he's over on the sideline being looked at.
And you could see the collision there, and this is why the rules are in place. They want to make sure in a medical situation like that, as the player is staggering on the field, they get a good evaluation and look.
So a line drive punt after the injury timeout, fielded by Garrity. And he is thrown down inside the 25-yard line. Chris Covington makes the stop on special teams for Indiana. And let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. 4 turnovers for Indiana. Penn State has only managed 7 points, Brock, off of those turnovers. And as a result, Indiana's still holding on to the lead.
And Indiana's been the team that's run the ball better. Indiana's been the team that's converted on 3rd down better. But Penn State has been a team all season, throw the stats by the wayside to do whatever it takes to find a way to win when it matters. Been tremendous here in the 4th quarter all season long.
Saquon Barkley finds a lane, keeps his balance, at least for the moment, long enough to stumble for a 1st down and a gain of 12.
And an excellent crack that time by his buddy outside, his wide receiver coming in, taking out the safety, putting that freshman corner, he's getting picked on, to the short side of the field here, either in the passing game, that time in the running game. Well executed by Penn State to finally a little breathing room for Barkley and a crease to see some of his explosive capabilities.
There he goes again. Grinds out about 5 yards on 1st down. Again, Saquon Barkley came into today. In his last 4 games, averaging 8.3 yards per carry. 169 yards per game over the last 4, including 167 last week in the win over Iowa. And look at what Indiana has held him to today.
9 of those 22 going the other way. Many of those the slower developing zone read variety.
It's another opportunity. It's a flea flicker. McSorley looking for Deshaun Hamilton. He's got it. The trick play works to perfection, and it's 1st and goal at the 3.
Pass reception good to Deshaun Hamilton.
That finally they get the matchup that Joe Moorhead said they would find a way to capitalize. And that's Marcelino Ball, the true freshman left out there on an island. Loses his eyes, loses his sight, and loses his coverage.
1st and goal, Nittany Lions at the 3. Barkley stood up. He lost a yard. It'll be 2nd and goal at the 4, and again, Tigre Scales in the middle of that charge for the Indiana defense.
You're going to watch this. This is one of the little tendencies that Indiana had. The proximity of running back and quarterback. It really felt like, and you could see the linebackers reacting, that when Saquon was that close to the quarterback, it was going to be inside run versus with some width. He typically tries to hit it on the outside in the perimeter run game.
Again, walks into the end zone with a Penn State touchdown.
Saquon Barkley, the ball carrier, touchdown, Penn State.
That contain, it is so difficult against a back like Barkley. You think you've got him, and you've got him, and you got him again. And this time, the containment on the edge, you're going to see it right here, the linebacker in the defensive end. You can see now come in, and he just loses that outside arm. And on every single defensive snap, you have got containment. And that time, Niall Sykes, defensive end, just loses for a moment. And Saquon shows that lateral burst and explosion that separates him and makes him a difference maker. And how about the patience and the resolve of these guys? Keep on swinging. Doesn't matter how bad it looks, Penn State seems to respond.
After a full day of college football at SportsCenter at night with Lisa Curdy and John Anderson. They'll have all the gridiron highlights, plus the NBA, NHL, UFC 205 updates, NFL news, and everything else from a packed Saturday. SportsCenter at night after Cal Washington State. Tonight, also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Bob Shoes and Brock Hewitt, Allison Williams here in Bloomington. Saquon Barkley walked into the end zone with an easy touchdown. His 12th rushing touchdown of the season, 2nd best in the Big Ten, but it was set up by a 17-year-old linebacker that got fooled by a trick play. Devontae Williams will take a knee. Big plays, Brock, have been the story. Let's check the clicker for the last one.
You saw Joe Moorhead, offensive coordinator's face yesterday when I said to him, hey, when you get in a 3-by-1 set, have you seen vertically how they put their young true freshman in a position of some danger? And he said, oh, you saw that as well. And what I love here is the flea flicker, and it was those eyes for that one split second that are looking here, and that's the difference. So you can draw up plays to try to attack vertically in a lot of different ways, right? And you'll see all sorts of concepts, but I love this, a flea flicker that really burdens him because Chase Dutra is coming down to support the run, and instead, perfect timing, perfect play calling to hold it and wait for it in the critical moment of the 4th quarter to take advantage of that matchup.
So now how does Richard Lego and Indiana respond from their own 25? Blitz coming off the edge. Lego whips one to the outside looking for Ricky Jones, but he can't hang on.
And here's that young freshman Marcelino Ball on the headsets upstairs. And that's a tough spot to be, man. That Husky linebacker, it's a 4-2 defense. He's a nickel linebacker. It's a tough spot at times to be placed in.
He's 17 years old. As Lego drops the throw again. Steps up in the pocket, dumps one off. That one missed to Ricky Jones again. Now it will be 3rd down and 10.
Well, those are those plays. And these are the moments. If you're Richard Lego and you're looking on the other side in a game that you have largely had a lot of success, your buddy on the other side has made game-changing plays. You got to do the same.
With tempo and play action on 3rd down, right at the 1st down marker. It's scooped up by Mitchell Page.
And he does. And he does once again on 3rd down and once again with some tempo. And I love that adjustment. Do not let them look at Penn State trying to sub right now.
Divine Redding for a yard. Curtis Cothran, Sharif Miller, Jason Kabinda, all there. for the Nittany Lions.
Indiana's not been a great third down team this season. In fact, just 38%, and 7+ have been well below that. But today have found a ton of success in those situations. Now 7 and 14 on the day.
Lego, comeback route to the sideline. It's hauled in by Kenyon Patrick. That is another Indiana first down to the Penn State 41.
NFL arm, huh?
Not always NFL accuracy, not always NFL decision-making, but when he leans into a throw, I mean, do you not see next-level quarterback?
Yeah, I was watching him warm up, and it just comes out so easy. And that's some of the advantage, and some of the leverage opportunities you have at 6'6".
Redding tries to turn the corner. Check that, Alex Rodriguez. And his speed only gets him a yard to the 40-yard line as Malik Golden stayed home.
But these are the moments. You're 1-18 all time against Penn State. Indiana is. Looking across on the sidelines, and no, it's not been many of these players.
Lego, he's looking for the end zone. He's got a man. And it's there for the touchdown. Nick Westbrook got behind the Nittany Lions secondary. And just like that, the Hoosiers retake the lead.
I don't know how many of these throws that you've got to see from a secondary standpoint before you start to change your timing. I can't even speak, because your landmarks and your timing are different when you've got a guy with this kind of caliber arm. Right, we've seen it on comebacks. We've seen it on hole shots, and that is equally a deep hole shot, 45 yards down the field, and the safety Golden's thinking, I'm over the top of this. I can take this angle against 9 out of 10 quarterbacks, but not against a kid with this kind of velocity he can create.
A field goal lead for Indiana with 11:06 to go in the fourth quarter. What a game in Bloomington.
Presented by Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry. In part by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And Jaguar, the art of performance.
It's Veterans Day weekend. It is our honor to salute all of our nation's veterans, past and present. And these are some of the courageous soldiers around the globe, proudly showing off their school pride. All of us want to thank you for your service and helping to allow us to enjoy college football Saturdays like this one. 31-28. Indiana answers right back with 4 minutes gone by here in the fourth quarter. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams, as Westbrook calls in his 5th touchdown catch. And now how does Trace McSorley and Penn State respond?
And that's really the word here in the second half, isn't it? Two teams that can respond, that know how to respond, and the Penn State crew that really has done it all season in their 5-game winning streak.
Line drive kick is going to give up some field position. Let's go back to Brock's clicker and take a look at the touchdown.
Well, you want a little football 101. Watch John Reed the corner. You're going to run cloud coverage here, and he's got to get a bump. That's number one, priority number one. And it doesn't happen. There's no bump whatsoever. And that does not allow Golden to hit his landmark. And immediately, if you're even, you're leaving, especially with this kid's arm talent that can deliver some rocket shots like few can in college football. Takes a team. You hear that all the time. Team defense. John Reed doesn't get the bump. Malik Golden doesn't get to his landmark. Quarterback takes advantage.
Saquon Barkley trying to bounce one outside. Lowers his shoulders and maybe gets a yard. Net by Chase Dutra. Did you see anything in the last possession for Penn State where they just got a bit of a running game going with Saquon Barkley that they can build off of so they're not playing one-handed the rest of the game?
Not particularly, but in order to run it, you'll hear any good coordinator say it, run it effectively, you've got to continue to trust it and have the conviction to slam it in there. Because what he shows you the capable doing is this. Right? And that's really where some of their runs have come this afternoon.
McSorley off his back foot, hoists one for Gesicki. Flag out. Ashawn Riggins was in coverage. And that's almost bad luck for the true freshman because that ball floated and was underthrown. He didn't know where it was in the air and kind of ran himself into an interference call.
No face guarding in college football. But if you impede speed, have no awareness, and you get in the way of that receiver's opportunity, you're going to draw the penalty.
Defense number 28, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
And this is a matchup that Penn State obviously likes. Eventually he comes back, tries to find the football, but way too much contact. Ashawn's got to slow himself down. That true freshman, right now things are speeding up. He's getting attacked. And it's the ultimate team game, but there's individual battles that you've got to win in the corner. It's to the boundary down here. He's got to find a way to slow his game down and trust his fundamentals.
McSorley stands in the pocket. Long throw over the middle. He took another shot, and he found Deshaun Hamilton. Boy, Trace McSorley knows the pressure's coming, delivers another strike.
Is he tough or what? Both ankles spatted, ribs sore, catching his breath after some knockout shots prior. There's some advantage to recruiting quarterbacks that love to play defense in high school when you're seeing it. Not shy away from the contact, does not affect his fundamentals, and by no means is it going to slow him down from taking those shots down the field.
He's taking a shot at the end zone again. Incomplete. Flag out. Saeed Blacknall may have pushed off. We'll see. Richard Bant was there in coverage.
Offensive pass interference, number 13. 15-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Be careful on those live mics, Marcelino, the true freshman there, but that's multiple times this crew continues to take shots, and that's a good call. You see the side judge right there, those two hands extend. It's easy the other side. Whenever that DB's arms extend and impact and impede, you draw the penalty, and that time, likewise, the right call. Kevin Wilson loves it too.
So that moves Penn State well outside of what would be a game-tying field goal range. At least for the time being, 1st and 25.
You said about that run game, did you find something? Well, look at these two safeties, Bob. Look at the difference now as they're trying to protect those corners. A little more or a little less personnel inside the box to try to run.
McSorley under pressure, and down he goes. Niles Sykes came around the edge and gets the sack. A loss of about 6 more.
Some opportunity there, actually, corner out to the very bottom if he could have had a split second longer, but that's Chaz Wright, the big right tackle, 6'7", 349, doing all he can to push Sykes out of the way, but the relentlessness gets Mr. Nile his 4th sack of the season.
And now we'll see how Penn State manages the field here to see if they can get in field goal range or if they still get gritty and aggressive and look for a first down. Play clock down to 2. Jet sweep, nothing there. Down goes Saquon Barkley. A loss of 2 more. Marcelino Ball stayed home to make the stop.
Yeah, that's a tough play to continue to run when your quarterback, I don't think, feels wonderful about pulling it and trying to explode. And Marcelino Ball, kudos to you, kid. 17 years of age, get picked on in the passing game. Put that play behind, flush that play, and have the heads up, the eyes up to force the tackle for loss. And to me, I take my shot. If they're going to play some one-on-one coverage outside 3rd and 32, give me an opportunity. My big guys have shown capable of going up and getting them, may even drive 15.
McSorley is going to take that shot. Jump ball down the sideline. Incomplete. A lot of contact, no flag. And Godwin is shaken up. And I understand throwing it down the rail, Brock, if you want to try and get aggressive, but something over the middle in space there might get you in field goal range. Very unrealistic to think to pick up 3rd down at 32.
Yes, but there's an if there, and that if is there's not been great precision in their passing game, either pass protection and blocking, or also, just even those intermediate, precise routes of timing, that's been most effective for them today. The difference on the perimeter, those shots down the field, and nearly get a conversion.
So here's Blake Gillikin. He'll try and pin the Hoosiers deep. And he launches this kick, and it takes a hop right into the end zone. So that will come out to the 20-yard line. Indiana with the football and the lead. 8 minutes to go. Number 1 getting the job done. Alabama winning big. 2 9-0 teams, number 2 and number 3 on ABC. It'll be Pitt and Clemson at 3:30 from Death Valley. Then we cap the night with number 3 Michigan as they meet Iowa at 8 Eastern. And Michigan, undefeated to this point. What will rest on the game against Ohio State? And there's still work to do before we get to Thanksgiving weekend for the Wolverines. Tyler Natee into that Wildcat look up the middle for a couple of yards. Looks like we've got a flag down in the tackle box.
The flag on the play. Tackle was made by number 41.
Parker Cochran holding. Offense, number 76. 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
Let's go down to Allison.
This Penn State defensive line is known as the Wild Dogs. Sean Spencer, D-line coach, named them that because he wants them to play with the type of aggression that the African Wild Dogs have. They are pack hunters and ferocious. And just now he told them they need to start hunting down Richie Lago. He's way too comfortable back there, guys. They need to start getting to that quarterback.
Well, 1st and 20. They've got field position now on their side if they can get a stop. Natee stopped at the line by Marcus Allen.
Yeah, that
fell there as well.
That first down run play won't show up on the stat sheet as anything other than a hold on Wes Martin, but the play was made by Parker Cochran, the defensive tackle. You've seen 2 other holding calls on the center, Wes Rogers, because of Kevin Givens and that group up front. They've been the difference makers down the stretch here this season. This defensive line in their rotation, and it will have to be in the final 7:20.
From inside the 5, Lago retreats to his own end zone and throws it away. And that stops the clock with 7:08 to go. And so often in college football, Brock, we see these teams that go 100 miles an hour with a lead, not manage the clock in the 4th quarter because this is the way they play. And they give extra possessions to a team that's down. See what happens with Indiana. 3rd and 19. Lago, he's looking for a first down through the hands of Ricky Jones and incomplete. And Penn State not only gets the stop deep in Indiana territory, but not much time comes off the clock.
No, it doesn't. That first down penalty was critical. I can't tell you how good that throw was. That's 3rd and 19. We've seen 3rd and 15, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12. That is once again entirely across the field, thrown to one spot and one spot alone. And it's had enough speed to zip right through the hands of Ricky Jones. That's a play that's got to be made in the second half here of the 4th quarter.
Indians punt, line drive, John Reed waving his teammates away from it. And it takes a modest Indiana hop to the 43-yard line. Only 57 seconds came off the clock on those first 3 plays by Indiana. But Richard Lago, when he has flashed his arm strength today, he's made some special
This is the best he's been all season. You've not seen one conflict throw, one throw where you're like, ooh, that's a bad decision, that's into coverage, that's into trouble. And it's been just the arm, you hear Stout say arm talent, and he can make every throw. Well, he's not only making every throw, he's doing it with just tremendous conviction. And these Penn State corners and secondary, they watch the tape. But when they watch the tape, they saw 2-3 opportunities every game where they had a chance to make a play. That's not been the case. Decision-making has been sharp for the big fella as well.
Osicki finds some room in the flat. Catch and run for a first down. Gain of 13 to the 44.
You call that a sneak route, and they did it earlier. This is, once again, how you take advantage of the aggressiveness of those linebackers. You sneak, and it's sometimes difficult. You can't really imagine how you sneak 6'6", 250, but you can because those eyes are in the backfield, and Gesicki has ran that play effectively now 3 times.
It's McSorley over 300 yards passing. Zone read, Saquon Barkley, a yard. Again, Tigray Scales at the bottom of the pile, getting some help from Oliver and Robinson for Indiana. 2nd down and 9. Under 10 on the play clock, and McSorley's still looking over at the sideline. 5 to get the play off. McSorley back to throw. Heaves one at the sideline. Godwin couldn't be more wide open, and if he stayed in bounds, he could have picked up 10 or 12 more.
And once again, that's a true freshman, and Indiana is trying at times to mix it up and give the safety help over the top and not put all the burden on the true freshman right now, Riggins. But that time, a pressure look, a one-on-one, and Godwin making the freshman pay.
And now a timeout may have been called by Indiana defensively. They were trying to run a player off the field. Godwin, you could see he kind of took a peek to his left as he went out of bounds.
Indiana, they're first.
And realized that if somehow he was able to slow his momentum down before he went out of bounds, Riggins was 10 or 12 yards away.
Yeah, that was a post corner, and that's, again, a credit to this staff. Joe Moorhead's a good one. I've enjoyed. We've seen Penn State now twice this season. And those coordinators that, really love to talk ball with and get into the X's and O's. And he was good at UConn. He was tremendous at Florida. He's been, I think, a breath of fresh air with Matt Limegrover, the offensive line coach, with as many different parts. I remember last year, Bob, you and I screaming at times, make adjustments, make adjustments. The quarterback just getting crushed all the time. And this has been a game of adjustments because the run game hasn't been there. So how do you create your shots? How do you create your passing game? You do so formationally. You do so with tremendous conviction. It's been a well-called second half once again by this Penn State offensive staff. And as you said, McSorley over 300 yards. A career day for him on a day where they had to have it.
4 extra seconds put up on the clock. Indiana now down to 1 timeout remaining as well, as they just called their second on defense. So we'll see how important that becomes for the Hoosiers. Saquon Barkley. Just been no room. He does well to dive forward and pick up 2 yards. Tigray Scales, Rashard Fant were both out there to bump him out of bounds at the 15-yard line.
Well, and then here's your adjustment. And this is Rashard Fant who's going to come in and tackle on the perimeter and outside. You see the big boys staying square up front. You run into that short side of the field. Now, Fant is typically the corner to the field. But that boundary corner has been so picked on, you actually see him now switching over and covering Godwin. The game of adjustments when it matters the most.
Barkley this time up the middle. Inside the 10. Carrying tacklers. Inside the 5. The pile moves down inside the 3. 1st and goal for Penn State. Looking for the go-ahead score with 4.5 minutes remaining.
You're going to see Fant come in here, and the difference between a field corner and a boundary corner is he comes in and just dives at the legs. And that is no bueno against a man as powerful as Barkley.
That's his best run of the day, 13 yards. Play clock inside of 10. McSorley needs to get his team set. Play clock at 5. 1st and goal. Play clock at 2. Now James Franklin has to call a timeout. So the awareness there of still a young quarterback. And they have to use a timeout. We'll see how important that timeout becomes for Penn State. But the thing that impresses me the most, Brock, about both of these teams is how well they have both answered every big momentum swing, because there have been some potential knockout blows delivered by both sides, and yet both of these offenses find a way to come back.
How about sticking to your guns as well? We meet with coaches early in the season, and I love it in September, and they're trying to figure out who they are. You think these teams know who they are? I think they do, because even though the running's been hard, we know that everything is set up through Barkley, and then defensively, Indiana continues to be aggressive. And if they're going to go down, they're going to go down swinging. They're going to take shots on offense. I think a pretty good picture today of two pretty clear identities slugging it out to the very end.
And where do they go now inside of the 3-yard line? McSorley rolls out, throws it away. They tried to fake their best, and Barkley on the dive didn't fool that Indiana defense. Team Ray Scales stayed true to his rush on Trace McSorley and gave him no daylight.
And so did Chase Dutra, the safety there. That was the same sneak play-action pass for the 4th time, trying to bring the tight end under, and that time Indiana stayed home.
2nd down and goal. Clock under 10 again. This time, McSorley has his team ready. It is Barkley. He bull rushes his way into the end zone for a go-ahead Penn State touchdown.
I'm talking to Pete Carroll over the last couple weeks, because Seahawks have played some pretty elite rush defense and goal line defense in particular. And how do you do it? He said it takes a commitment from everybody. And that time, Jonathan Crawford's a safety. He's the unblocked guy. He is one-on-one in that alley with Saquon Barkley, who finally gets ahead of steam. And the big man shows what he's capable of doing late in a game. Been stuffed, been stymied, been stopped. But when it matters the most, you don't go away from the strength of your team.
And a vital extra point for Tyler Davis, because that makes the lead 4 with under 4 minutes to go. So now Indiana has to have a touchdown to take the lead after Barkley scores for the 2nd time.
Shot to live up to the hype. The Champions Classic doubleheader with the college football playoff top 25 reveal between games on ESPN.
Great time of year with college football in November, playing the most impactful games. College basketball also now underway, and some of these blockbuster matchups we have for you on ESPN to start off the season. There were 2 last night, the Armed Forces Classic, and a couple more coming on Tuesday night. And for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to Bloomington. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams. We have had a back-and-forth affair, and Saquon Barkley has had 2 second-half touchdowns. And as things stand right now, it's again on the shoulders of Richard Lago, Devine Redding, and the Indiana offense to come from behind again, as Penn State has taken a 35-31 lead over the Hoosiers here in Indiana. Joey Julius with a returnable kick. Devontae Williams just across the goal line. And Williams barely gets to the 15-yard line before he is stood up. Von Walker made the stop on special teams. Well, when Ohio State lost to Penn State, Penn State got that signature win, their first over a top 2 team since beating Notre Dame in 1990. You look forward to this game and what it would mean if Indiana was able to pull off a win at home against number 10. It would certainly be a signature win, and only their 2nd ever against the Nittany Lions.
And right here, they're in position to do so with a quarterback that has been red hot for most of this afternoon.
But the long field, with just under 4 minutes to go and only 1 timeout. They started on the ground with Redding. Tripped up, a gain of 4.
When they've had challenges, it's been holding calls. They've had 3 drives killed by holding calls and going backwards. When they've stayed on schedule, been able to establish that tempo and let Lago have some time and air in that pocket. He's delivered.
Lago, back shoulder to the sideline. Incomplete. Off the fingertips of Nick Westbrook. Christian Campbell was there in coverage for Penn State. Now it's 3rd down at 6.
This is well timed by Christian Campbell. Look at his eyes coming back, and that hand right in the eyes distract Westbrook just enough to force the incompletion. That's a lonely place with 4 minutes to go in a game, sitting on an island. in a one-on-one situation and knowing that Indiana has taken 7, 8, 9, 10 of those shots down the field, and is going to go down, if they go down, swing with shots.
They'll try and run for it with Redding, and he comes up short by about 3 yards. So now what for Indiana? They only have one timeout left, and there's 3:18 to go. Can they afford to kick it away and think they'll get another chance?
Nope. Nope. When you burn 2 of those timeouts already, and you make that call on 3rd down, you'd love to hit it, but you also did it knowing you're in 4-down decision-making time.
So 4th down and 3. Indiana trying to keep the game alive. Four-man rush. Lego. Knocked down at the line. Incomplete. Kevin Givens gets the stop for Penn State with the batted ball on 4th down. Only one timeout left for Indiana with 2:49 to go, so Penn State can bleed a lot of clock down here.
And you see the hug there from the D-line coach, and a line stunt that doesn't get home. Right, 2 guys that don't create any real movement or space. But the wherewithal, the football IQ there of Kevin Givens to go up and to time that jump perfectly. He's created 2 holding calls, not going to show up on a stat sheet very much, other than that pass breakup. It couldn't come at a more critical time.
You would think Indiana would sell out to try and stop the run here as Saquon Barkley is to the left of McSorley in the shotgun. Shifting over to the right. And Barkley dives forward for a yard. The final timeout immediately spent by Kevin Wilson.
How about this hug? And James Franklin saying at halftime, I don't always want to be a second-half team. I'd like to find a little more execution earlier, but I sure believe in my difference makers like Kevin down the stretch.
Kevin Givens, the redshirt freshman who added 45 pounds since coming to Penn State originally as a running back defensive end. Well, now he's a 275-pound defensive lineman. We're back here in Bloomington. It's Trace McSorley and Penn State now having forced Indiana to use their final timeout. 2nd down and 10 just inside the Indiana 22-yard line. Saquon Barkley brought down after a gain of 1.5 yards by Patrick Daugherty. Believe it or not, this is a career high in attempts in a game for Saquon Barkley. Brock, on a day where he's only averaging 1.9 yards per carry.
Tell me the last time you have seen 32 carries in a college game and 1.9 next to it. I can't remember it. But what that shows is an incredible conviction to who you are and what you are. Even though you know the immense production isn't there, you trust and believe that you're one play away from it happening. And you're also allowing your passing game to flourish today.
3rd down and 8. They run it with Barkley again. Indiana's waiting for him. And now Penn State can take the clock down inside of 1:15 to go as Marcus Oliver makes the stop. And then I would assume a field goal attempt to try and stretch the lead. As McSorley's already over on the sideline, so James Franklin's simply going to stand next to the official and let the clock go down as far as possible before using Penn State's 2nd timeout.
That says an awful lot to me as well about Saquon. Because it's easy when it's fun. It's 200-yard days here and a 200-yard day there. It's no fun with your O-line kind of in shambles.
Not kind of.
Yeah, you know
in
what?
Shambles.
Let me eliminate that. We're taught to make declarative statements. In shambles. No real running lanes. You're running to darkness many times, and you know you're going to get whacked. You feel those linebackers. James Franklin knows it as well. Right on top of him, breathing right down his neck. But to not freak out, to not panic, to not lose his cool. To just have, I guess, the selflessness at times to run it 33 times for less than 2 yards carry. It's good stuff.
They just gave it right back to me.
Saquon Barkley, it did not start well, to say the least, but as you said, they stuck with it. And at some point, it started to pay dividends as this was basically the entire first half. He had 11 carries before we got to the 4th quarter that were for negative yardage. And yet, when they finally got him going, they became a two-handed offense again.
And you have to be. And you have to find some of that balance. And it afforded Trace, the opportunity to throw for 330 yards. And ultimately, isn't that what winning football is? When we look at this month of November and we watch these games, and you watch tonight some big-time games in USC and Washington, you're not always going to have your best fastball. You're not always going to have your go-to. And in those moments, can you still find ways to win? Trace McSorley stepped up in big ways today.
Here's the field goal attempt now for Tyler Davis. 39 yards away. This to stretch the lead to a full touchdown. And he's got it. We'll step aside for 30 seconds and come back. A last gasp opportunity for Indiana. Joey Julius about to kick it off for Penn State as Indiana now down by a full 7 with 1:07 to go. So the Nittany Lions have forced Indiana to use their remaining timeouts. Devontae Williams from the 2. Can he give his offense any kind of field position? Flags everywhere, and he's brought down at the 23-yard line. So a couple of penalty markers that could affect field position.
Juan Johnson attacking for the Lions.
On the return, holding, receiving team number 23, 10 yards, first down.
So that should put the ball back roughly at about the 13-yard line.
And that is just crippling. When you look at possessions and drives, kind of like in baseball, when you get a runner on first and nobody out, your percentages escalate. When you start a drive, in moments like this with 62 seconds to go, inside your 20, inside your 15, those numbers come way down. As Lego looks to the heavens, and he's going to be launching some of these to the heavens, there is no doubt you're going to see some balls down the field on the perimeters you've seen all afternoon.
They have no choice, no timeouts, 1:02 to go, down by 7. Penn State brings a rush. Lego, long throw to the sideline. Incomplete. Mitchell Page tried to adjust and couldn't get it on the dive. It'll be second down. Malik Golden tracked Page to the sideline.
And you got to have tremendous discipline here if you're Penn State, and in particular Golden and Allen, the two safeties, that time both in that half coverage, trying to keep everything in front of them. They got half the field. They got to make sure they hit their landmarks.
One-man rush again. And that ball comes out sideways as Lego was hit just as he was set to release it. Sickles and Schwann, that end combination again puts the pressure on Lego. Now it's third down and 10. Here comes a blitz. Lego over the middle, broken up. Grant Haley was able to knock it away. Now they're going to say it squeezed through to Ricky Jones. How did he catch the football? Wow. Well, that was a magic trick pulled by Ricky Jones. So that keeps it alive for Indiana. Lego, long throw to the sideline, sails out of bounds.
I think that football caught him.
I have to have another look at this one because it looked like Haley jumped right in front and knocked it away. Haley did get his hands on the football and almost held it up. And it was snatched away by Ricky Jones. What a play by the fifth-year senior wide receiver just to keep some slim hope alive.
That was 3rd and 10.
Now it's 2nd and 10 with only 39 seconds to go. Another blitz coming. Lego can't take a sack. The ball pops out. Brandon Bell knocked it away into the end zone. That's a touchdown. Torrance Brown, the scoop and score. And that puts it on ice for Penn State.
This team just finds ways to win, don't they? It was against an Ohio State team weeks ago that they got their signature marquee win. and I've said this to you before, Bob, and I really do believe it, especially with 18 to 22-year-olds, is when you believe, when you have a true belief that you're going to finish and get it done, and the whole team buys in, and that time the senior Brandon Bell never gives up. Lego tries to extend, but it really extends to the whole team. Offense, defense, special teams, and when you're on the other side of it, and you're Indiana that so desperately wants to get over the hump, wants to believe they can do it. Unfortunately, 5 giveaways today, just critical.
We'll step aside for 30 seconds and come back to Bloomington. Now the kickoff return by Ricky Brookins is out across the 30-yard line to about the 32. So with 23 seconds to go, down by 14 now. It is Academic. Penn State on the road as they continue to build on what has become a season for James Franklin that started with the words hot seat, probably mentioned in conjunction with James Franklin's name over and over again, to now their highest ranking since 2011, a team that's about to win 6 in a row in the Big Ten and get to 9-2 and a top 10 ranking as well. And that should be the final play as Redding brings it out to about the 38-yard line. So Penn State took all that Indiana had to give today, and Richard Lego responded multiple times, but Penn State ends up with a road win, and a big one at that for James Franklin.
And I bet that head coach awfully excited. You lose more people. This is a beat-up football team. Right? They got hammered again with more injuries and offensive line with all sorts of moving parts, but finding a way to win when it matters the most, that's been the story of these Nittany Lions in 2016.
45-31 the final. Penn State wins it. Our chance to head down to Allison.
Thank you very much, Coach Franklin. It was a back-and-forth game all day. What was the difference for your team?
Well, first of all, you got to give them credit. Kevin's doing a great job. Overall, we were able to get our guys settled down. We lost 2 linemen in this game. We're already thin at that position. We got them settled down. We were able to make some plays. Our defense played well all day long. Turnovers, we didn't capitalize on them early.
You mentioned the injuries up front, and that led to some struggles in the run game. How did you adjust offensively but still maintain your commitment to the run game?
Yeah, we got to stick with it. We made more plays in the second half, really what it came down to. They had a good plan. They were blitzing almost every play and twisting the front with young offensive linemen in there. That we weren't doing a great job of getting coordinated, but we didn't panic. We just stuck with the plan. These kids believe in themselves, so it's awesome to see.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you very much.
45-31 the final. Penn State over Indiana. For Allison Williams and Brock Ewart, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Bloomington. We'll have Pitt and Clemson coming up next.